Shows how little you know politics.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left or you go right. You can go forward, but never ever back.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Good evening, my little one. I shall make you psychotic.
Mommy, what does psychotic mean?
I want to hear your thoughts.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left or you go right. You can go forward, but never ever back. Yeah. Just woke up.
I ain't feeling your side. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whack, not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien, bien. Podemos ayudarnos más. Si se puede. Don't take my word for it. Look that mess up. Please. How y'all feeling? I feel good? Y'all feel good? Let's do it. So the name of the show today is January 6th and Epstein List. Now, if you guys watch the show, you know, we're going to cover politics, global events, trending news. We might get on some racial topics, but I like to make sure I cover whatever I put in the title. A lot of times I don't like to do titles like the one I have today because it's pressure. It puts pressure on me because I like to stand on my word. So it is what it is. Where do we begin with this? Should we start with January 6th or should we start with Epstein List? I know what y'all want. Y'all want to talk about Epstein. Where is my people? Where y'all at? Let's look at this BBC article. You know what? No. I'm going to stall for a minute. Let's warm up first. Give myself a chance to get into the groove. Bet y'all didn't know that they had fentanyl IVs. Let's look at some random stuff so I can warm up. Kind of get into the groove here. It says several dead after U.S. nurse allegedly replaced fentanyl IVs with tap water. Freaking tap water? God. As many as 10 patients in the United States may have died after a nurse at an Oregon hospital allegedly swapped fentanyl intravenous drips with tap water. According to the New York Post, police are investigating the theft of medication prescribed to patients at Asante Road Regional Medical Center in Medford. We covered a story like this. I don't know if it's the same one because they said saline. And saline would be a lot less, toxic or whatever, dangerous. It would still suck because they're trying to get their pain meds and they end up with saline instead because you got a person who's addicted to drugs who's working in the hospital. But tap water, oof, I don't even know what that would do. That sounds dangerous. Yeah. It says fentanyl is an opiate analgesic, so there's a chance of stealing. Yeah. So that's most likely what it was. It was a nurse or someone else working in the hospital who has access to the drugs and the patients. And they were stealing the fentanyl so they can use it for themselves. Replacing it with freaking tap water is pretty damn extreme, though. Goodness gracious. Former Aurora police officer convicted in Elijah McClain's death, sentenced to 14 months. 14 months. He probably won't even do all of that. How do y'all feel out there? How y'all feel? Y'all feel good? I guess we could go into this. I have some clips. I think this is one of the ones. Yeah, this is one of the ones. Let's go ahead and go into it.
Truths, and what it was going to be was an armed revolution. I mean, people died that day. Law enforcement officers died this day. There was a gallows set up in front of the Capitol. This could have been the spark that started a new civil war, and no one would have won there.
Former spokesman.
Department of Justice indicated that it has evidence of the Oath Keepers bringing not just firearms, but explosives to Washington ahead of January 6th.
There was always the push for military training. There were courses in that community that went over explosives training. We've gotten exceedingly lucky that more bloodshed did not happen because the potential has been there from the start. I do fear for this next election cycle because who knows what that might bring. If we need to quit mincing words and just talk about truths, and what it was going to be was an armed revolution. I mean, people died that day. Law enforcement officers died this day. There was a gallows set up in front of the Capitol. This could have been the spark that started.
I agree with it that we shouldn't mince words about these things and try to downplay certain things, and face reality and also face the danger that is related to all of this. And we're going into election year, and like he said, things could have been much worse. And this time around, we could see a very similar thing play out, and it could end up being much worse. I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see a repeat of 2020. I don't want to see a repeat of that. It's not going to be good for the country. It's not going to be good for people. People's faith in the politics. All of these people that want to be I don't know, they want to step in and try to save things on their own or whatever. Violence. I don't know. Let's move on.
Some people are wondering, where's the 5 alarms? Why isn't this a national emergency? Why isn't America incensed and infuriated? There are many reasons. One is because the main perpetrators are white. The overreaction to people of color as dangerous depends on the underreaction to people who are dangerous and white. I'm not saying or implying we should start fearing white people or that white people are evil or dangerous. I'm not saying we should start labeling people of color as safe. To be anti-racist is to recognize racial equality, that no racial group is more dangerous or safe, and no person is dangerous or safe because of the color. As the stealing of an election.
Donald Trump's own White House counsel, own White House staff, members of his own family, all implored him to immediately intervene to condemn the violence and instruct his supporters to stand down, leave the Capitol, and disperse. For multiple hours, he would not. Donald Trump would not get on the phone and order the military or law enforcement agencies to help. And for hours, Donald Trump chose not to answer the pleas from Congress, from his own party, and from all across our nation to do what his oath required. He refused to defend our nation and our Constitution. He refused to do what every American president must. Donald Trump's own White House counsel, own White House staff, members of his own family, all implored him to immediately intervene to condemn the violence and
if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not gonna, I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. And if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not gonna, I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol.
You know, I think that Trump definitely could have done more. You know, he was trying to accomplish something, you know, when all of this happened. He wasn't trying to get these people to necessarily storm the Capitol, but he wanted to win, you know, and he wanted to do whatever he could do to win. And that's what he was trying to do at that time, you know. And he could have done more to keep from things getting out of hand the way that they did. And that's just a reality. We gotta freaking face reality with stuff, or else things are gonna just keep getting worse. It says, "Dear America, you are waking up, as Germany once did, to the awareness that a third of your people would kill another third while a third watches." You know, I think that that third that watches are a huge problem. You know, when we stand by and allow atrocities, when we don't say anything, when we don't try to do anything about it, I think that makes us complacent in it. You know, we might as well be there doing it with the third that's killing the other third or whatever. You know, sometimes you do have to pick a side. It says, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." Okay. It says, "God doesn't care about virginity, the patriarchy does." Changed his hair. Man, Cat Williams lit the internet on fire this month. It says, Elon Musk in 2011 laughed at Chinese giant BYD's products and dismissed the company as a threat. BYD dethroned Tesla in the fourth quarter as the top EV maker, selling more battery-powered vehicles than the U.S. rival. Man, these electric cars are not the answer, y'all. It's not the answer. It says, not sure what's more disturbing, the entire Democratic Party full of throatedly funding a genocide, or the liberals shaming you to vote for them so they can do it for 4 more years. It says, bro, it's a different election. Bro, it's a different. This is 2024, bro. This isn't the last time, bro. Different election, bro. This will give you right. Just try. Just try it. I swear, bro. Just vote, please, bro. This is this time. This is serious this time. It's not like last time, bro. This time is more serious, bro. There are different elections, bro. Please. Man, that sounds like what they be saying right there. Like, oh man, every election is the most important election of your lifetime, and you have to vote for us, or the world's gonna come to an end. It says, after getting yelled at by enough liberals, I finally come around to the idea of supporting the lesser of two evils. Therefore, I would like to announce I officially stand with Hamas. Wow.
There's no resistance because the working class, its organizations, the leadership is wedded to the Democratic Party. The head of the AFL-CIO, he knew Joe Biden personally, and he was complaining to Biden in 2012 about the Obama-Biden administration's lackluster performance when it came to the labor movement. And Biden shot back at him and said, look, what are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? You know you have nowhere else to go. You know you have nowhere else to go. In other words, that's exactly because the working class was wedded to the Democratic Party, not willing to break, not willing to form its own independent political action. That only emboldened the Republicans and in the rightward direction also of the Democrats.
Listen to our full conversation with August Nimps anywhere you get your podcasts.
Who the hell is August Nimps? This graphic is pretty cool how they got the people just standing in line. You got Democrat in one door and Republican on the other door. It's the same building. It's like that graphic of the like slaughterhouse and 2 different doors, and they're all going to slaughter. That's what it makes me think of. It says Biden when his fellow Americans need health care. I'm too weak. Biden when Israel needs more weapons. Unlimited power. It says, I don't owe Joe Biden my vote. If anything, that MF owes me $600. Oh.
Prospect, whatever, of their being elected. The workers must put up their own candidates to count their forces and to lay before the public their revolutionary attitude and party standpoint. They must not allow themselves to be bribed by such arguments of the Democrats as, for example, that by so doing, they are splitting the Democratic Party in giving the reactionaries the possibility of victory. The ultimate purpose of all such phrases is to dupe the proletariat. The advance which the proletarian party is bound to make by such independent action is infinitely more important than the disadvantage that might be incurred by the presence of a few reactionaries in the representative body.
Listen to our full conversation.
Not exactly sure what he was getting at there. It says the working class needs a party. I agree with that. How do we do that though? How do we come across that? And then, if we ended up with a party and it called itself the Working Class Party or something, it's crazy how they do that with those names. It would absolutely not be the Working Class Party. It would absolutely be something else. And that would just be the name. And it would work. It would work. Even if they were working completely against working class people, and had no working class people involved in it. You know, I think that regular folks should get some of these positions. People that don't even want it. We talked about it on the show. How like, you know, like even like for president, somebody that doesn't want to be president, literally, like make them be president. You know what I mean? They would most likely do a better job. All of this corruption. The people that get in there, they have an agenda. They have stuff that they're trying to do or whatever. A person that doesn't have an agenda, they're more likely to like get some stuff done. It's like, so let me get some stuff done so I can get up out of here. Like, you know, I don't know if I have the clip, but it was about this one of these. He used to be a congressman, and he was complaining about the salary that the Congress people get. I want to say it's like 300,000 somewhere up in there, and he said it's not enough. It's not enough for them to live. And they should get paid more. That's what he was saying. So, but then like that's way above the average pay for the average, American citizen, far above. And it's like, the way I look at it, if you want to make money, then go do a job where you make money. If you're going to be a public servant, then how much you're getting paid shouldn't be your motivation for that job. Your motivation for that job is so that you can get, help people or whatever, like make changes, help write legislation or whatever. Like, you're not in it to get paid, So this is also what leads to all of the corruption. These people, they're trying to get paid. The thing came out where the Congress beat the market again. This for 2023, they did better than the market for trading. And it's like, of course they did. They freaking privy to information. They actually draw up legislation that affects these industries, and then they get to freaking trade in those same industries. Of course they're gonna freaking beat the market. That's the kind of stuff that people should be angry about. The internet was born off of cat videos.
January 6th, 2021, when a mob violently attacked the United States Capitol. They used brutal force and fear to try and overturn the results of a free and fair election. They tried to overrule the votes of millions of Americans. On that day, we saw violence, chaos, and lawlessness. But some so-called leaders still tried to mislead and gaslight by claiming it was a peaceful protest. Can you imagine? Like we weren't watching? These extremist leaders say that the group was led by, quote, great patriots. Is that how you define who loves our country? On January 6th, we were reminded that even though, yes, we have come a mighty long way, we still have far to go. And we still have work to do. I ask you to remember where you were 3 years ago today, January 6th.
So they're whipping out Harris. Why does it sound like she's at church? Have she's been working on her, somebody's been working with her speech patterns or whatever. Like, she's getting better at it, I think, I don't know what that means. I don't know what I can extrapolate from that, but she's coming across as like a pastor in this little speech that she's doing here, which is kind of interesting. And then, they're whipping her out. Biden seems like he can't freaking say a sentence without stumbling over his words. So then they're like, okay, here, Kamala, you got to get better at your speech, and we'll just whip you out there and get you to, read those lines that we want Biden to say. And you need to land those lines. So this is her page. She's promoting herself. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Uh-oh, what did I do? Kamala. Nobody likes her. She might end up being president. She's next in line now. Occupy Democrats. It says, why there is a border crisis in 2023. In 2022, Republicans voted against necessary border funding, opposed $7.2 billion for Border Patrol operations, including for hiring $65 million for 300 more Border Patrol agents and $60 million for additional personnel at ports of entry. Republicans created the current problem so they could use the border as another fear-mongering dog whistle against Biden. Republicans, not their party, not America first. Occupy Democrats posted this. You know, there is the thing, and I was covering it in a show yesterday about all the money that they're trying to send down there. And the Republicans are like, no, we don't need that money. We need Biden to come to the border, okay? Biden can come to the border and you can use that money too. Do we want to go ahead and jump into this? That's pretty funny.
Is the same as a Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. You're absolutely connected to the earth beat, the heartbeat. Our shoes will not allow us to connect with the earth. The only time you do is when you go on a beach or you run barefoot, and look how good you feel when you're barefoot, because now you're connected with earth. And that's why the easiest thing is, I know you've got shoes, we all have shoes that have rubber on the bottom. Go hug a tree. You get the grounding from the tree because the tree roots go deep into the ground, and all that good energy will go through you when you hug a tree, even though you have rubber-soled shoes on. You're living in the city. You're not grounded with the earth anymore because you've got rubber on the bottom here. And the earth beat is the same as a Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. You're absolutely connected to the earth beat, the heartbeat. Our shoes.
I've talked about this before in the past, and it's crazy to me how calling somebody a tree hugger is like a derogatory term, like it's a put down, like you're a tree hugger. And I'm like, call me a tree hugger, that's fine, I'll take that. Actually kind of like that. But the part about being grounded in the rubber, it's something with that, because we could use other materials. There's, there goes, let me put on my conspiracy theory hat for a second. And it's like, you think about the rubber in the car too, as far as the tires, and it's like, it seems like they want to keep you separated all the time. Like, you never get grounded. You always have that barrier between you and the earth. And like, what does that do? It separates us from nature. It leads us to be off balanced. It leads us to make bad decisions. It leads us to not care, and not realize that we're connected, to forget. When we forget, then we do things that aren't in our best interest. What's in the best interest of the earth is also in the best interest of us. We were born out of the earth, and the health of the earth is the health of us. So if the earth isn't healthy, then we're not healthy. We could think that we have all of these technologies and all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are talking about an EMP blast. This has been bouncing around the internet, and they have that new movie. I haven't even watched it, but people were talking about it a lot. I can't think of the name of it right now, but in that movie, they were talking about what would happen if it was an EMP blast, and like the internet and the lights and stuff went out. And if they, this guy made a report. He said if it went down and it lasted for 6 to 9 months, 80 to 90% of Americans would die as a result, you know. And it's like I say, our technology is really cool, but it relies on certain things, you know. And if those things that our technology relies on, we're back in the Stone Ages in a heartbeat like that. And then now you got to deal with life as it is, you know. And I think that us as humans, through our evolutionary process, we were prey animals, really. You know, think about it. We don't have any sharp teeth or sharp claws. We don't really have fur to protect us from the weather. Like we really like we're not very equipped to survive in the wild without all of our technology, you know. So I think that, you know, now we kind of dominate the earth, at least through our perception. But the majority of our evolutionary process, we were like prey animals. And I think that's why we have some strange fears. Like we have extreme fears of like snakes and stuff like that. And that's because those were the animals that was tearing us up as you know, through our process of evolution, you know. So we still have that ingrained into us, the fear of that stuff, you know. Just being exposed to the weather is enough to take us out. Shelter is a need to survive. Let's go ahead and go into this. Let's jump into this. Let's stop Let's stop lollygagging. I think I've kind of warmed up some. Let's jump into this Epstein stuff. I got a BBC article. I think it's pretty good. I didn't read this whole thing, but there's multiple articles. So I scrolled around and I came up with this one, and I think it's pretty good because the thing is that people say the names on the list, and just because the name is on the list doesn't mean that they were involved in some kind of nefarious activity. These names came out of these court documents, and sometimes the people were named as like they didn't have anything to do with what, you know, anything really, but because their name is in the documents, people are jumping on it, and that's what I don't like about the internet, how people do these clickbait videos or whatever, and then they're like, oh, such and such name was on the Epstein list, and then you automatically kind of like put two and two together in your mind and say that that person was doing shady things with Epstein on his island or whatever. But that was not necessarily true. And we don't have no real evidence of that. Just because the name is on the list is enough for people to, you know, come to that conclusion. And people don't take the time to actually look at the stuff. And a lot of these people know what's going on and know the truth or whatever and has looked at these documents, but they use that stuff as clickbait to get some views. So really, really shady stuff. Let's look at this. Jeffrey Epstein list, who is named in court filings. So that's where this list, the new stuff has come out, because they were redacted before. You know, how they black out the names or whatever. So the court documents were filed, but the names on there were blacked out. And a lot of the information isn't necessarily new because these is old court stuff. And some of the stuff you could come to the conclusions on your own by reading the documents and reading around the blacked out, redacted stuff. And that's what people did, you know, a couple of years ago when this stuff was available, and we already knew a lot of this stuff. So, but now it makes it more clear when they, you know, when they take away the redacted and you can actually read the documents with the names there. So it says, the names of dozens of people connected to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were made public with the release of court documents. Who are they? Public figures, including Prince Andrew and former U.S. President Bill Clinton, are among the associates, friends, and alleged victims named in the 900 pages unsealed on the order of a judge in New York. Both the former U.S. president and the British royal deny any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. It says many names in the documents are mentioned in passing as part of various legal proceedings, and their inclusion does not suggest wrongdoing related to Epstein. I really want to stress that I really want to stress that. Like a lot of these, some of these names just kind of came up, and it doesn't, they were not saying these people were involved in shady stuff at all. But are reporting this, and just saying that these people's names are on there is enough for people to come to the conclusion that these people are doing wrongdoing. That's not fair. That's not right. That's misleading people, and that's shady. It says they contain no major new allegations about Epstein nor revelations about his associates. So, like I said, a lot of this information is old. It's kind of crazy how the internet has gone crazy over this stuff, because a lot of it is it's really old. It says Epstein took his own life in jail in 2019 while awaiting trial. His friend and former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, is serving 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking. It says, who is now named in the documents. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Where my people at? I know this is what y'all want to sink your teeth into. So one of the main big names is Prince Andrew. It says, the court papers include the testimony of Johanna Schoberg, who describes meeting Prince Andrew at Epstein's home in New York in 2001. Her statement, which had previously been partly revealed, describes an encounter in which she claims Prince Andrew touched her. Miss Schoberg, then aged 20, had been at a college when she had been recruited by Maxwell. Initially, she believed as an assistant before finding that she was encouraged to deliver sexual massages for Epstein, which she resisted. So yeah, the way they did it, like they would get these girls and they would tell them, we're going to pay you, and all you have to do is like stuff that's not too crazy. But then once they get them in there, then they gonna offer them more money to do shady stuff, and and then you go down that road. It's kind of what happens a lot of times with prostitution. When you got pimps or whatever, they do this thing where it's like, they're your friend, they're cool with you, and they help you or whatever, they guide you or whatever, and then it's like easy work or whatever, and then things gradually just become more intense. So it says, what do documents say about Prince Andrew? Prince Andrew was rejected any wrongdoing, including in his later settlement with Miss Goofer in 2022. In that settlement, Prince Andrew had said he regrets his association with Epstein and commends the bravery of Miss Goofer and other survivors in standing up for themselves and others. So these are little taken out from the court documents right here. All right. So Joanne Schoberg. At one point, Gasoline told me to come upstairs, and we went into a closet and pulled out the puppet, the caricature of Prince Andrew, ... Question, and what did the puppet look like? Joanne, she says, it looked like him, ... And they decided to take a picture with it, in which Virginia and Andrew sat on the couch. They put the puppet on Virginia's lap, and I sat on Andrew's lap, and they put the puppet's hand on Virginia's breast, and Andrew put his hand on my breast, and they took a photo. So that is all we have for Prince Andrew. So this doesn't sound too like crazy right here. But like I say, the way people were reporting this, and it's like Prince Andrew is on the list, and then people are like, well, he must have been diddling, children or whatever. It's hard for me to talk about this because the algorithm is gonna be triggered by certain words. I'm trying to keep from that happening. So it says Bill Richardson, in her deposition, Ms. Goofer says she was forced to have relations with prominent figures, including New Mexico's Governor Bill Richardson. Before his death last year, Mr. Richardson denied ever meeting Ms. Giuffre, and he was not charged with any crime. So, question. It says, Ghislaine Maxwell told you to give a massage to Bill Richardson, correct? She says, correct. Question. When did Ghislaine Maxwell tell you to give a massage to Bill Richardson? She answers, I don't know dates. So that's all we have on this. But that is kind of damning right there. Even though it doesn't sound too crazy, this is the way it works, and that's the road that you go down. So it starts with the massage. The next one, it says Bill Clinton. The former U.S. president is mentioned a number of times, but there is no suggestion of any criminality. Joanne Stroberg, one of Prince Andrew's accusers, testified that Epstein told her that Mr. Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. Another woman, Virginia Giuffre, who brought the lawsuit at the heart of these court documents, also mentions the American politician several times. Although she makes no allegations against Mr. Clinton, she was trying to get him to testify under oath about his relationship with Epstein, describing him as a key person. Says she had previously said Mr. Clinton visited Mr. Epstein's private island, but in the court documents, both Maxwell and Epstein dispute this. There is also no record in pilot logs of Mr. Clinton going there. Mr. Clinton himself has said he flew on Epstein's plane 4 times, including twice to Africa, because they worked together on humanitarian projects. But those meetings took place before the financier came under investigation, he said, and he had no knowledge of his crimes. So, you know, they make Bill look really shady with this situation too. Like, he was one of the main names that popped up, and everyone jumped on it and was like, yeah, you know, it kind of makes sense or whatever. But right here it says there's no record in pilot logs of Mr. Clinton going to the island. So they have to have those when it comes to who was on the plane. Like, those records are there, you know. So I think that if Clinton was going back and forth to the island, there would be pilot logs of that happening, you know. But then on the other hand, we know that it was things happening on the planes also. So you didn't necessarily have to go to the island to do shady things. The plane is flying from the East Coast to the West Coast, and while you're in the air, like, the laws are different and everything is different. So yeah, that's an opportunity. And you can always use an excuse to say, you know, humanitarian efforts, or we were working on the same things, or I just hitched a ride on his plane or whatever, which is kind of crazy to use as an excuse, knowing that Clinton had access to other planes. Like, he didn't have to fly on Epstein's jet, you know. Donald Trump. It says the document also includes testimony about Donald Trump from Ms. Schoberg about a diversion Epstein's plane made to New Jersey to visit the businessman in 2001 at one of his casinos. When pilots said their plane could not land in New York and would need to stop in Atlantic City, Epstein said he would call up Trump and drop by to see him, she said. The documents contain no alleged wrongdoing by Mr. Trump. Ms. Stroberg is asked whether she ever gave Mr. Trump a massage, and she said she did not. So, Ms. Stroberg, it says, as we were flying, Jeffrey said, why don't you go and sit in the cockpit and check out the landing? So we were sitting there, and the pilots told me to go back and tell him we can't land in New York and that we were going to have to land in Atlantic City. Jeffrey said, great, we'll call up Trump and we'll go to, I don't know, recall the name of the casino, but we'll go to the casino. So this is excerpts from the court documents right here in the red, if y'all are following this. Michael Jackson. So it says, Ms. Stroberg said she had met the singer through Epstein, although she did not allege any wrongdoing by him. Question: Did you ever meet anybody famous when you were with Jeffrey? Joanne Sherberg, I met Michael Jackson. Oh, really? And where was that? At his house in Palm Beach. At Jeffrey's house in Palm Beach. Did you massage him? No. So they're taking these excerpts from the court documents where these people's names were showed up, and these are the situations where the names were showed up. So again, like how the way people are covering this is like, yeah, Michael Jackson's name showed up on the Epstein list, and then people automatically, you know, jump to the conclusion that it was saying that Michael Jackson was doing something or whatever. But that's not what this is saying right here. Hold on, is that it for this one? There's a really good list. It shows all the names. Let's see if we can find it. I have it on my phone. Give me a second, y'all. The Independent. The Independent. The Independent. Is it UK? I think so. Independent. Does it have a search on here? Hold on. Jeffrey Epstein List. New documents unsealed. Hold on. Is this the one I'm looking for? Hold on. Newly documents named Sarah Ferguson, Chris Tucker, and Kevin Spacey. I want the one that goes down the list. This is not it. Hold on, y'all. I can't share my phone thing, so I have to do the search separately, and it's annoying. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, let me share. Okay, the Independent. It says the Epstein List, full list of names revealed in unsealed court records so far. This is 20 hours ago. Let's just read it and see if we can. Do they have a video in here? It says Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton. Hold on, I think there's a video in here.
And Donald Trump. These are three of the names listed in a trove of newly released legal documents linked to Jeffrey Epstein. A stash of 40 documents have so far been made public as part of a long-running defamation lawsuit brought by Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre against his former fixer and convicted child trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell in 2015. In December 2023, a New York judge issued an order to unseal materials identifying individuals whose names have been previously redacted. But being identified through the court documents does not necessarily mean that the individual was involved in or aware of any wrongdoing by Epstein. Among the names are high-profile figures like former US Presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and Prince Andrew, all of whom had already been publicly tied to Epstein. The Independent has contacted the relevant parties for comment.
Managing my credit card debt was overwhelming, and it just was.
Let's read some of this. It says, Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton are among the more than 100 people named in a newly published legal document linked to the PD, Jeffrey Epstein. The disclosure of the first batch of court files includes the names of victims, friends, and associates of the offender and Ghislaine Maxwell, although many others will have no direct link to Epstein. It says the millionaire financier who socialized with royalty and celebrities was accused of running a large network of underage girls for relations. While awaiting trial, he killed himself in a jail cell in 2019. Says the legal documents relate to the defamation lawsuit brought against Maxwell in 2015 and were published under the judge's order on Wednesday. The second tranche of documents released on Thursday evening did not shed much new light on the case and included many of the names previously made public. Further documents unsealed on Friday are currently being reviewed by the Independent. Wait, what is this? Let's play this. It's just saying what the article was saying that I just read, and it's showing clips from the actual court filings. It's about the
People on the
defamation.
inside are going to keep coming up with these ridiculous excuses, like his arm was elongated, or the photo was doctored, or he came to New York to break up with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. I'm calling BS on this.
And just having a bunch of photos of Epstein and Trump in the photos together isn't like incriminating Trump. I would have to say, Trump was on the scene, he liked to be that guy, and Epstein was on the scene, so them being in photos together, a lot of photos together, doesn't necessarily mean, what people are trying to say that it means. All of this is what we already kind of covered. And it's showing the clips that we just read from the documents for these main big names that were in there. Yeah, we read that in the last story. In the last article. Only reason why I'm covering this is because everybody is all interested in it, but I'm not gonna say it's a nothing burger but it's almost, because this stuff was already out. It's been out for a while. Let's see. Where did I stop? Prince Andrew appears prominently in documents mentioned previously reported accusation that he groped Joanne, which he denies. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are also named, with neither accused of wrongdoing. Judges, court staff, and legal representatives are not included. So, okay, here's a list of names. Let's read these names. It's a lot of them. Let's read these names. So I want this to go away because this is in my way. How do I make this? Okay. It says Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's former girlfriend, convicted in 2021 of sex trafficking in connection to Epstein activities. So these are the list of names that shows up in the court documents, and then they're just going to give like a little gist of who they are and what the connection was. It says Andrew Albert Christian Edwards, Prince Edward, second son of Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain. Bill Clinton, former U.S. President. Donald Trump, businessman and former U.S. President. Hillary Clinton, former First Lady to Bill Clinton, U.S. Secretary of State under Barack Obama and U.S. presidential candidate. David Copperfield, American stage magician. John Connolly, New York police detective turned investigative journalist who investigated Epstein. Alan Dershowitz, prolific lawyer and pundit who represented Epstein in 2006. He is, this one is an interesting deal. Anyways, Leonardo DiCaprio, actor and film producer, famous for his roles in Titanic and Inception. Al Gore, former U.S. Vice President under Bill Clinton. Stephen Hawking, British physicist and science author. The stuff they were saying about Hawking, oh my God, I can't probably say it here on the show, but yeah, there's something there with that one. Ehud Barak, former Israeli Prime Minister. Michael Jackson, famous musician known as the King of Pop. Marvin Minksy, artificial intelligence pioneer. Kevin Spacey, actor known for his role in Seven and The House of Cards, found not guilty of sexual assault in 2023. This guy here his name keeps popping up related to situations like this. And it's like, how many times do you have to be involved in something shady for it to, clearly be that you be involved in shady stuff? George Lucas, American film director and creator of Star Wars saga. Jean-Luc Brunel, French model, agency boss, and alleged Epstein co-conspirator who died in apparent suicide while awaiting trial. Yeah, that one is interesting too. This one is interesting too. So this guy died in similar circumstances to Epstein. Cate Blanchett, Australian actor who starred in The Lord of the Rings and Tar. Naomi Campbell, British model. There's some stuff with that one. Sharon Churcher, British journalist. Bruce Willis, actor famous for his role in Die Hard and The Sixth Sense. Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico. Cameron Diaz, actor who starred in Shrek and There's Something About Mary. Yeah, when they say Hollyweird. It says Glenn Dubin, an American hedge fund manager who was allegedly friends with Epstein. Eva Anderson Dubin, former Miss Sweden and wife of Glenn Dubin, who once dated Epstein. Noam Chomsky, linguist and political philosopher. Yeah, there was a big whole thing related to that. Chomsky was like, I didn't know that the guy was whatever. But then it's like, it's hard to believe that when people say that, I'm a fan of Chomsky big time. But at the same time, I can't, when people say, I didn't know this guy was, like shady and doing all of this kind of stuff, it's like, that's hard for me to believe. Tom Pritzker, American tycoon and philanthropist. Chris Tucker, American comedian, actor known for his role in Rush Hour films. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of New York, former wife of Prince Andrew. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., American politician and conspiracy theorist. Why they call him a conspiracy theorist? That's funny how they put that as his description. I don't think that's fair to do that. But yeah, his name, there's something with that. And I'm sure this is going to be a problem for him going forward. James Michael Ostrich, Jean and Maria Alessi, husband and wife working at Epstein's home in Florida. If they worked in his house, they saw a lot of stuff. They had to be involved in stuff. At the very least of not like witnessing crimes and not reporting them. Janus Vanessa, I can't say these names right. I'm sorry, y'all. Served as Epstein's Palm Beach house manager. Again, if you're freaking that close to Epstein, you definitely saw some shady stuff. and or was involved in it. Bella, Bella Klein or Klein, documents differ, a former accountant in Epstein's New York office. Yeah, all the people that work for him, yes. Leslie or Leslie Groff, documents differ. Epstein's former secretary, who was named as a co-conspirator in his 2008 plea deal, but reportedly would not be charged. Sometimes that's how it works. That's a good way to get out of trouble is to take a plea, you know, related to stuff. So then they have to seal it. Then they can't come back and get you later. Victoria Bean, Rebecca Bolin, Dana Burns. See, they don't give no description of these people. Who are these people? Ron Eppinger, sex trafficker. So what about these people that they didn't put any description to? So and the only description of this person is sex trafficker. That's really kind of strange. Daniel Estes, again, no description. Annie Farmer, accused Epstein of sexual assault. Maria Farmer, Annie Farmer's sister, who also accused Epstein of sexual assault. Anuska de Grigu, a model who accused Epstein of um, relations. Louis Free, former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Frederick Fica, celebrity hairstylist. Alexandra Fica, son of celebrity hairstylist. Jojo Fantanella, Epstein's butler. And I bet you that dude, how much you get paid to be his butler? Virginia Giuffre, formerly known as Virginia Roberts, accused Prince Andrews of sexual assault. So yeah, that's the name. So see, that's where a lot of things get confused because see, like this is just a list of names that were, in these documents or whatever. So, but this chick was the one who they were talking to and asking questions or whatever. She was apparently a victim of the whole thing. So, but then the way you look at this list, then you think that this person is a person that was doing shady things. Anyways, Lynn Miller, mother of Virginia Giuffre. See, again, there goes another situation. Crystal Figueroa, sister of Anthony Figueroa, who dated Virginia Giuffre in the early 2000s. Anthony Figueroa, Virginia Roberts' former boyfriend. Eric Gainey, Meg Garvin. See, Eric Gainey, no description. Represented Virginia Giuffre. Sheridan Gibson Butt, Roscoe Maxwell's press agent. Fred Graff, Robert Giuffre, Philip Gudrun, Alexandra Hall, Joanna Harrison, Shauna Harrison, Victoria Hazel, Brittany Henderson, Brett Jaff, Forrest Jones, Sarah Killen, Epstein's former assistant and named as an unindicted co-conspirator in a 2008 plea deal. Adriana Ross, Epstein's former assistant, named as an unindicted co-conspirator in 2008 plea deal. Carol Chris, Dr. Stephen Olson, Stephen Kaufman, that's a name. Wendy Lay, author. Peter Listerman, Tom Lyons, Nadia Makinkova, alleged friend of Epstein's, named as an unindicted co-conspirator of 2008 plea deal. I lost my freaking place. Jamie Melanson, Donald Morrell, David Mullen, David Knorr, Joe Pagona, May Paluga, Stanley Pottinger, Detective Joe Ricari, former Palm Beach police officer who investigated reports of sexual abuse against children by Epstein. Chief Michael Reeder, responsible for investigation of sexual abuse against children by Epstein. Ronaldo and Deborah Rizzo, husband and wife who worked for Epstein, alleged friend Glenn Dubin. These are a lot of names. It kind of keeps going. It says this story is developing and will be updated regularly as the Independent learns more. Let's see. Before we move on, let me see something. $228, Fox News. Let's let Fox News do a quick little deal on this.
The late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has just been released. We've been combing through this. Nate Boy has been helping us do so. He's live from our New York City newsroom. What are we learning here, Nate?
Hey, Sandra. So 29 documents were just released in the past hour, over 400 pages. We're going through it as quickly as we can. And once again, names in the Clinton family have come up. So, of course, these names coming out as part of a 2015 defamation lawsuit between Virginia Giuffre, one of the accusers who claims that she was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's confidant. Names that were searched, or at least discussed to be searched through Maxwell's phone as part of that defamation case include Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew. Law.harvard.edu was one of the phrases to be searched through her phone, as well as Alan Dershowitz, the attorney. But the difference today, Hillary Clinton's name coming through, as we have seen former President Bill Clinton's name pop up each of the past 2 days. Another thing to note, Sandra, in one of the documents that was just released, there is essentially a message book that came out. It's handwritten notes for Jeffrey Epstein about who had called him. One of those notes reads, quote, "She had on the phone Mr. Harvey Weinstein." So we'll keep looking into that, as well as the rest, or as for the rest of the documents that we've had the chance to go through to this point. They explain through depositions a lot of the recruiting process for a lot of these young girls, some of them recruited by Virginia Giuffre's ex-boyfriend. Many of the girls described at Epstein's home under the age of 18, some of them from different countries. So right now, with these 29 documents being released, that makes 88 documents that have come out to this point. Giuffre's lawyers tell us that we can expect 240, and that process for those documents to be unsealed could stretch into Monday. But we'll keep going through this newest batch of documents, and we'll let you know what we find.
All right, Nate Boy, live here in New York City.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on. So they act like these are new documents, but they're not really. It's old documents, but they have names that were redacted and they're no longer redacted. So that's what makes it seem like it's new, but it's not really. I want to move on. I need somebody in here. Where you at, Doc? This clip, did I play all of this clip? Mr. Talib Kweli, I did play that. Hold on, y'all. Let's share this. Am I sharing? Let me share. Let's do this. I might want to do some headlines. I think I'm going to do some headlines after I do this.
More doctors and more teachers per capita than any country in the world. And they have succeeded in these areas, and it's all state supported, which means people don't have to put money out for the medical care or for, they of course pay the cost indirectly as a whole society, but they don't have to pay the bill in the hospital and so forth. And so that cannot be allowed to stand. It's a very bad example for the United States and for all the third world people in the United States. After all, we're becoming a third world country very fast, if not already, you know.
Not already, yeah.
And so there's a very large mass of people out there who can look at Cuba and say, well, if they can do it, and on a per capita income of $2,000, $2,500 a year, where ours is $22,500 a year, what's wrong with our system? I mean, maybe we ought to consider an alternative.
That's why Nicaragua, Sandinista Nicaragua, had to be destroyed.
Exactly. They were a bad example, and that's why Grenada had to be destroyed, because any movement that comes to power with the idea of providing for all the people and of escaping the control of the United States and its economy, let's say the corporations and so forth, then that is bad news here in the United States in the upper circles of power.
So did y'all hear that?
Cuba has more doctors and more teachers per capita than any country in the world. And they have succeeded in these areas, and it's all state supported, which means people don't have to put money out for the medical care or for, they of course pay the cost indirectly as a whole society, but they don't have to pay the bill in the hospital and so forth. And so that cannot be allowed to stand. It's a very bad example for the United States and for all the third world people in the United States. After all, we're becoming a third world country very fast, if not already, you know.
Not already, yeah.
And so there's a very large mass of people out there who can look at Cuba and say, well, if they can do it, and on a per capita income of $2,000, $2,500 a year, where ours is $22,500 a year, what's wrong with our system? I mean, maybe we ought to consider an alternative.
That's why Nicaragua, Sandinista Nicaragua had to be destroyed.
Exactly. They were a bad example, and that's why Grenada had to be destroyed, because any movement that comes to power with the idea of providing for all the people and of escaping the control of the United States and its economy, let's say the corporations and so forth, then that is bad news here in the United States in the upper circles of power.
So he said those are bad examples. So, you know, bad examples meaning that it's actually a good example, you know, of other ways to do things. And they don't want the American people to go down that road in thinking that there's alternative ways to do things, you know, that actually work. And that's the reason why, like, people always use the excuse, or, you know, the example of like Venezuela, and they're like, you know, we don't want to be like Venezuela. But then it's like, how much American influence led to Venezuela being in the position that Venezuela is in? Cuba is another example. You know, they can't let, especially if it's in the hemisphere, if it's close to the United States, like geography wise, like having examples of other ways to do things that work, that don't support the corporations, you know what I mean? That don't allow the corporations to just plunder and everything be about profit for private capital, you know? So that's what it is. And that's the reason why they have to, you know, make these countries look like they are backwards and that they're not successful and that their healthcare system doesn't work and that their economies don't work, that they have inflation problems and all of this stuff. They create these things after the fact, you know, to prove that the American system, the capitalist system with the corporations running the show, is the best way for things to be done, you know. And we've been totally programmed to believe these things are true, you know. And so then they state, like I say, they use Cuba as evidence, they use Venezuela as evidence, but this is manipulated. Like, they actively make sure that these countries are suffering, you know. So you can be like, I don't want to be like Venezuela, I don't want to be like Cuba. Yeah, if the United States didn't have the embargoes and all of this stuff, if they didn't go over there tearing up their stuff, then they would be fine. It's like, why do we have a problem with Cuba anyways? Like, what the hell have Cuba done to us, like, in the last 50 years or anything? Like, what the hell? It really doesn't make any sense. Let me read this. It says, close to 30 years ago, former CIA officer Philip Agee was interviewed about the United States' role in destabilizing countries such as Cuba and Nicaragua. Fascinatingly enough, he explained how when governments prioritize social justice and equality by providing education and health care, as Cuba does, the United States moves to disrupt their processes. Countries like Nicaragua, Cuba, Grenada, and others that have challenged U.S. hegemony so they can provide a good quality of life to their people were or being destroyed militarily or economically. This comes as the U.S. government oppresses its population. So this is what happens, and it's really, really clear. And like the history really shows this. But our media is skewed. The corporations control our media, so we don't see this stuff. Not only that, it controls the education system. So this kind of stuff, especially in like K through 12, they might touch on it briefly, but they're definitely not going to go in depth to the point where you can understand it and relate it to present times and how things are now here in the United States versus these other countries or whatever. You'd have to go to upper education to get any really clear understanding of that kind of stuff. And then you'd have to take, a lot of these classes are going to be like elective classes. It's not going to show up in your core classes or whatever. You'd have to actively pursue that information. Like, they're not going to give it to you. Really, really sad stuff here. That we've been programmed in a way. And it's really sad when like a country is just trying to look out for their people and be fair with their people and share the resources and stuff like that. Make sure everybody got education and freaking health care. Then the United States has to come in there and bust that shit up. They're like, oh, no, y'all can't do that. The corporations have to be running the show. It has to be about profit. Whatever system you're doing, it has to be about profit. For private profit. Public goods, no. Really, really clear. Really clear stuff.
Our house! How do you handle this? Open the door, brother. How do you handle it? Come on, man, open the door.
That socialist pigs are gonna kill patriots and put this world together.
Handle it, that we're sick of it. Okay, 30 years. Would you? Huh?
And I've never had people like this.
Say again.
I've been in law enforcement in Texas for 30 years.
Talk a little louder. That's because you've never seen corruption like we have seen this last month.
I'm ashamed.
And I'm ashamed of my Congress people. They don't even stand up for it.
Man,
they're giving away my grandchildren and your grandchildren's freedom.
what? You need to back up.
Freedom is at hand. Go find another door, everybody.
Do you understand we're fighting for you?
You ought to put the guns down. We're not going to do anything. This is about please a civil war. If this doesn't happen, there's going to be a bigger civil war and a lot of bloodshed. We don't want that. We don't want more bloodshed.
Is there anybody in there?
Yeah.
Who's in there? Who's in the house? Can you see who's in there?
So this is a clip. It says the newly released video shows a confrontation between Republican congressmen and Capitol rioters. This was January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C. It says this footage shows Troy Neal scolding rioters over trying to breach the House of Representatives chamber. It says officers were seen pointing their firearms at the mob as they tried to force their way inside. It has some more. I want to read this before I make comments. It's another one about to pop up here. This was an intense situation. You could just feel the energy coming off of it. Like, boom. And the way these people were talking with the guns in their face, it says 5 people died during the attack on the U.S. Capitol in the immediate aftermath. People want to act like that stuff didn't happen, So this is it was probably somebody's phone, I don't know where the hell this footage has been all this time or whatever. But anyways, Sky News, it says this new video shows Republican congressmen confronting Capitol rioters in 2021. Let's read some comments. It says, MAGA cultists, they were just peaceful tourists on a day tour. Don't believe what your eyes are seeing and ears are hearing. Another comment that says, not one single human being that was at the state capitol on January 6th was charged with violating 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection. Never forget this when people deceitfully claim there was an insurrection. Another comment says, he's not a Republican, he's masking. What does that mean? Another comment says, this was entrapment at its finest, a bunch of feds getting people riled up. The feds got the people riled up. It says, play this every day, stop posting DJT. Another one, it says, insurrectionist, I know riot is easy to spell, but you have to report the truth. Let's see, more comments. Hold on. Uh-oh, what did I do? I didn't even know you could do that. Hold on, y'all, I'm sorry. I didn't even know you could do that. More comments. It says, the only person that died was Ashley Babbitt. She was an unarmed veteran, 5'2" and 115 pounds. The other people died of either suicide or other medical mental health conditions. You know, but those were direct deaths that were directly resulted from that situation. You can't downplay that. Let's see what the reply says here. It says, she was a veteran who betrayed her oath. If she was tough enough to be in our military, she was a threat. It says, it's we the people, not the government. She betrayed no one. So yeah, so like if they telling you that you can't come in these chambers and that we're gonna pop you if you do, and then you try to climb through the window or whatever, and then they pop you, like. Another comment, it says, imagine going to jail for a criminal and never having enough common sense to realize you got. Another one, it says, the Capitol Police opened the doors and escorted them around. What a setup. Okay, you know, a lot of people are saying that, but look at this video right here. You know, that's not what I see here. Like, okay, maybe there was some situations that related to that or whatever, but what explains this video right here? What explains the you know, the girl who got shot and killed when she was trying to climb through the window? Another comment, it says, now show the rest. Okay, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Trump maggots tried to kill our Congress, never forget. Another one, it says, you are sick, Sky News. Why? Because they're playing a video of something that actually really literally happened. Like, this is on somebody's phone. You know, this wasn't doctored or created or nothing. It says, rioters, there were worse scenes at the Palestine demos today. Another one that says, who cares? They're fighting for their freedom. There are more important issues at stake than old news unless you're willing to show that undercover operatives were the cause of the attack that day. Like that first comment said, like, don't believe your lying eyes. Another one says, was the director of this script Pelosi? How did these people get to these kind of conclusions? Like, Pelosi somehow was manipulating this situation that we're seeing in this video? Like this wasn't real. Like, this was a set and people were following a script, and that's crazy talk. That's insanity. That's insane.
It was a very interesting day because they don't report it properly. People in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they've ever experienced. There was love in that crowd. There was love and unity.
My kids didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected
I call them the J6 hostages, not prisoners. I call them the hostages.
There'll be a lot of pardons and commutations of J6 defendants, January 6 defendants under your administration?
Yes, absolutely. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah, man.
January 6th was a very interesting day because they don't report it properly. People in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they've ever experienced. There was love in that crowd. There was love and unity.
My kids didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts.
I call them the J6 hostages, not prisoners. I call them the hostages.
There'll be a lot of pardons and commutations of J6 defendants, January 6 defendants under your administration?
Yes, absolutely. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day.
I don't understand how we can get to a point where we're so partisan that we can, two people can see the same event and like totally see it different, as far as like let the media just spin things in a way that you don't even like. I don't know. It's like people have turned off their brain when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, you know, just because it's my guy or whatever, there's people that I support or whatever, that I'm gonna look past the stuff that they do that was terrible or whatever. Like, you know, and then people just, they don't even look at it. Like, I've played videos on the show before, you know, when we were talking about January 6th, and then people are like, I didn't see this or whatever. I mean, like, well, that's probably because the stuff that you're watching is totally like partisan. It's totally like trying to get you to see things in a certain way, you know. It's not showing you the full story or whatever. It's just showing clips to support what you want to already believe, you know. And it's like, you know, when we get into our echo chamber and we're only hearing things from one side and one perspective, we're definitely getting screwed, we're getting lied to, we're getting manipulated, we're getting used. So Kamala Harris posted this. And that's another thing. It doesn't matter a lot of times like whose mouth. What we care about more with our politics nowadays is like whose mouth it came from or who said it or whatever, regardless of if it was true or not. It's about who said it. It's like, I don't like that person, I think that person lies or whatever, then I'm not going to listen to anything that they say. And this comes from both sides. So, you know, on one side, it's like whatever Trump says, it's like, oh, whatever Trump says is a lie, and he never does anything good or whatever, you know. And I could sit here and say Trump has done good things, you know, and has said things that weren't lies, that were 100% true. And I could say the same thing for the other side, for Biden or for Kamala Harris or whoever. Like, just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that they don't never say anything that's true or do anything that's good. Like, how do we get to that point to think that way? Like, that is crazy. It says, on January 6th, our democracy endured a violent assault animated by lies and hate. Insurrectionists stormed the Capitol in an attempt to overturn a lawful election. Let's vow to fight to safeguard our democracy and preserve our most sacred freedoms of generations to come. You know, and that is what was happening as far as what the point of it was. You know, they were certifying the election, you know, on this day in the court. You know, that's what Congress was doing on that day, you know, certifying the electors and going through the you know, the motions of the official movements to certify the election, you know. And they were trying to keep from that happening. like regardless of what the votes said. Now, you could say, there was shadiness going on in the election or whatever, okay, you can make that argument. But at the same time, you can't say that that's not what they were trying to do on that day, was to stop them from doing the process of certifying the election. Okay? Like, two things can be true at the same time. Comments, it says propaganda deluxe. We don't buy your story, Kamala. Yeah, so because Kamala posted this, then it's propaganda. But these are actual clips from actual things that actually happened. Like, I don't know how you can, look at videos and see what actually happened and then just call it propaganda. Now, when people say you take clips out of context, that happens. That happens all the time. Like, you split up what someone said and just use their little clip and make it take what they're said out of context and make it seem like they're saying something else, But there's also times where you can splice together clips to show you what the hell actually freaking happened. Like, the F, come on. We got to face reality at some point. Another comment says Trump has never been loyal to this country. Another comment that says, bar him from running. Insurrectionist, it says, one that says, this needs to be run as an advertisement. Another one that says, he can never hold any political office ever. Orange clothing would match his orange hair. Another comment that says, officers died because of the trauma from this. That's what makes me so upset about the lack of commission and empathy. I guess they meant to say compassion for those who served and protected in their lives, the lives of those who served for their own country, the United States. How do people support this? It's pure evil. Those people were just trying to do their job. Like, you support your troops, you support the police or whatever. But then in this situation, you try to hit them with flags and stuff. Like, even Pence, he's like the vice president at the time, and he's a part of your party, and you're like, hang this guy. Like, they did say that. Like, that's not propaganda. That actually happened. It says, during the arrests around the Capitol attack, police seized enough ammunition to shoot every member of the House and Senate 5 times. So these people were armed and they had bullets. That's not propaganda. It says 3 years ago, former President Donald Trump incited insurrection. The extremists who stormed our nation's capital were armed, organized, and ready to kill elected officials. An oath keeper who traveled to D.C. on January 6 said, I had not seen that many weapons in one location since I was in the military, describing the weapons stockpiles stashed in a nearby Virginia hotel. If not for D.C.'s gun laws, including the prohibition of open carry, the insurrection could have been deadlier. As we head into an election year, we cannot forget what happened and what's at stake. Donald Trump tried to end our democracy 3 years ago and would end it if elected again. His extremist has no place near the White House. Make a pledge to vote. See, now this is kind of extreme too, like right here, what they're talking about Donald Trump here. But this is what they do when they try to scare you into voting. Like, what I don't like a lot about, like, the Democrats don't give you anything to vote for. They give you something to vote against. Like, they just try to scare you and say, you have to vote for us, or like the world is coming to an end. Like, democracy is going to end. Like, Donald Trump will be the last president. Like, all of this kind of stuff. And, that's a stretch, to say the least, but people get moved by these kind of words, like, it works, So then you don't have to actually give people policy when you give them stuff like this. And meanwhile, you get to leave out the back door with the bag. Because at the end of the day, it's two wings, same bird, good cop, bad cop. They playing the game that all of us lose, whether we're Republican, Democrat, left, right, conservative, liberal. We're all losing as a result of this game that they're playing. They're playing games with our lives. It's not funny. On both sides. I think I covered that shooting. I covered all of that yesterday. Hold on, y'all. Let's just do some random stuff. I feel like I'm getting emotional. And let me make sure y'all can hear me. Just do some. Okay. Mayor John Whitmire pushes back against crime stats, vows to make Houstonians feel safer. This is important right here. This is important right here. This is what we do, and this is what happens. This is our state of our politics right here, because the numbers, like I've covered on the show before, crime has actually been going down. And you'll be like, oh, that's not true. I'm looking at the news and I'm seeing all these people dying and shooting, and they're looting the stores, and Democrat run cities are hellholes and full of crime and stuff like that. The numbers don't lie, y'all. The media does, okay? And if they play they only play crime. They only play, if it bleeds, it leads. And you see that over and over and over again, that nobody can tell you anything different, because you're like, that's all I see. But then if you look around your own life, like turn off the TV, don't scroll on your phone, and look around your environment and see how much crime do you see, in the real world, then that'll be a better reflection of reality. And then you can look at the numbers that these people use. They use them from police agencies and stuff like that. And these are actually numbers. These are true numbers, okay? And then you compare those numbers to previous times or whatever, and then you can see a trending that's going down, okay? So, and here in Houston, it has shown that violent crime is going down, okay? So, but Mayor Whitmire, he campaigned on, making Houston safer, supporting the police, adding more police officers and so forth and so on. And that's fine or whatever. But you could see with the wording here, he says, make Americans feel safer. It's about how they feel. It's not about what the reality is as far as the numbers showing that the crime is going down. It's about people feeling that they're safer. Let's read this. It says, Houston Mayor John Whitmire said after meeting with local law enforcement that he wouldn't debate crime statistics, which generally show a recent decrease in Houston, but that he'd judge his tenure as mayor based on whether people felt safer by the end of it. So he says, I don't want to talk about this crime statistics, because he don't want to talk about them because the crime statistics show that the crime is going down. But people don't feel safe. People feel like the crime is going up, or it's crazy amount of crime. And like I say, a lot of that is because of the media. So if this guy really wanted to make people feel safer, then he could have some kind of impact on what they're showing on TV, because that's what's making people feel unsafe. Damn news, the nightly news show. It says the new mayor attended a Houston Area Police Chiefs Association meeting Thursday, a meeting Whitmire touted as an opportunity to improve collaboration and communication among the region's various agencies. While offering scant detail about specific policy plans, Whitmire said all options were on the table for improving public safety, from seeking additional state funding for more officers to personally involving himself in police recruiting. So yeah, one of the first things he did the first night on as mayor, he sat with the police chief and monitored the police activities and stuff that they were doing and stuff that they had to deal with or whatever. It was a story on it or whatever that I saw. So that's what he did, because he's trying to maintain his campaign promises or whatever, you know. So looking at the crime and looking at what's going on and how the police have the stuff they have to deal with so that he can like give them better resources to deal with their situations or whatever. But again, like I say, it says he vows to make Houstonians feel safer. So it's like the crime stats don't matter. How people feel is what really matters. And I mean, I can sympathize with that, but when do we get to a point where we actually look at reality? We look at what the numbers are saying and we trust those numbers. So people show the numbers of the crime going down, and all the comments are it's bullshit, it's a lie, or whatever. It's like, yeah, because you're programmed to think that it's just wild, wild west out here, and it's just not reality. There's an overall stat that shows from like the 90s or whatever, violent crime is continually to gradually go down over time, and it's much lower than it was in the 90s. People don't want to believe it. It says, let's read some comments. It says, feeling safe and being safe are two different things. Another comment says, one way people feel safer is to encourage local officials, church leaders, and for-profit media outlets to stop claiming that we are about to be murdered in our beds by carjacking thugs with dark skin. Boom! Oh my God. My mom, she watches a lot of Fox News, and it's like every news story is like, they're in your neighborhood and they're coming to get you. Like tonight, right around the corner from your house, there was a breaking and entering, and they went in and they robbed and killed your neighbors or whatever. You're going to be next. And it's like every freaking story is that. And if you're watching that every night, then you're scared and you believe it to be true, and you get a bunch of cameras and you get guns and you're scared to leave your house. You don't want to go drive anywhere. You want more cops around. And it's not true. It's not true. Like, not to say that there's not cases of these things happening, because the things are happening. It's just few and far between, but they play them over and over and over and over again. So it makes it seem like it's more than it is. Comment says, can you sweep up Sunnyside? LOL. Yeah, Sunnyside is terrible. It looks like a post-apocalyptic. It looks like, and that area has been the same for as long as I can remember too. It's all run down buildings and streets, and like there's nothing there. It's like a war, like post-war zone or something, like post freaking earthquakes or something like. But a lot of that has to do with funding. Certain neighborhoods get all the funding and other ones don't get nothing. And that's why I say it looks exactly the same as it did when I was a kid. Like even the same potholes, like literally the same as it was when I was a kid. Let me read another comment. It says, just do your job. Stop trying to make yourself look better. You'll be judged by how you perform. Another one, it says, he's just like the others. It's astonishing how you think it's okay to ignore statistics. It's numbers, I'm telling you. As far as like science, people ignore science, they ignore the numbers. It's like how they feel is what's important. What the numbers say is like, oh, that's a lie. The numbers are lying. They say women lie, men lie, numbers don't. Now, you can mislead people with statistics and graphs and stuff. Like I took a statistics class and I had hell with that class. And one thing I really learned from that class was that you can manipulate those statistics and make things look a certain way. But when you know stuff, when you learn about the statistics, then you can look at the information and you can deduce that you're being misled, because if the numbers are real, then you can look at it and see how they're manipulating it, and how what they're trying to get you to see and what it really is, because the numbers are be there. So, sample size, stuff like that. What is it called? Standard deviation. Anyways, let's read another one. It says, let's start with getting the recycling bins picked up in a timely manner. It's been 3 weeks now and nothing has been picked up yet. And we have visitors this weekend. Shaking my head. Good reflection on the city. I was kind of upset with my apartment complex because, we had the holidays and I paid for trash pickup outside of my apartment. Like, it's okay. I could take the trash bags to the dumpster and put them in the dumpster. But they charge me every freaking month for that trash service. So I figure I use it, right? I mean, I'm having to pay for it. But then since it's been the holidays, they haven't done it. And then the trash kind of built up a bit. And then they called me and said, we're going to charge you for each bag of trash that's out there. And I'm like, man, it should kind of piss me off because y'all haven't picked up the trash in like 2 weeks. And now you're saying now I'm going to get charged on top of what you're already charging me. So, of course I just took the trash out. I'm not going to just get them to charge me fines, on top of what I'm already paying. But it pisses me off that I'm paying for a service that's not even doing it. And then you're going to get mad at me. What a fucking system we have. Another comment that says, so now we're going to ignore the statistics. Exactly. Another one that says, everyone can own a gun without a permit. What are they talking about? How does that relate to what we're talking about here? Another comment says, as an independent journalist from New Zealand, I am somewhat nauseated to see a 122-year-old newspaper act as a stenographer for political pablum, while ignoring their own journalists' reports of city police assaults on charity street workers, assaulting, tased, and wrist broken. You were there. Houston Chronicle, live up to your fourth state responsibilities and publish what your reporters saw and filmed. Well, it's not going to happen when the corporations are the ones that own these, the major corporations, and they have an agenda, a narrative that they want to, propagate because it benefits them. So, and journalism is pretty much dead anyways. Like all we got is opinion talking heads. Anybody that actually does journalism gets fired. We're in a very sad state for journalism right now. Another comment that says, targeting homeowners and turn a blind eye to the gangbangers, Houston strong. Another one, crime stats seem better because people have stopped reporting crime. It's pointless. Doesn't mean crime has improved. We just give up. That is bullshit related to people not reporting crime. I get your argument there. I mean, I could see how you could believe that would be true. Okay. But the numbers that they get is about stuff that actually happened. The numbers that come from the police agencies, not from people. It's not from people reporting crimes. Stuff happens, and it's logged. Because you had police responses. They don't have anything to do with somebody reporting a crime or not. You're talking about petty thefts or something like that. Another comment says, I invite the mayor to come work from my office for a day and then tell me exactly how he is going to make Houston safer. let's look at this stat related to this one. It says people killed by UK police in 2023, 26. People killed by US police in 2023, 1,232. Police killed more Americans in 2023 than any other year on record. Now, what a lot of people will try to look at is talk about race whenever we talk about police killings or whatever, because that's what the narrative is and that's what the media likes to big up and play or whatever. But those same people who are like, it's not about race or whatever, and it's like, stop resisting or whatever it is, whatever excuse that you give for the police. And so the thing is, the minorities are proportionately smaller, it's smaller numbers, right? So, and then those people are overrepresented in the police killings. Okay, but then you look at it in the overall numbers, the people that are not minorities, are dying too, like a whole lot of them. The numbers are blow them out the water, but it is more of them. So then that makes sense. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, so you're okay with the police killing white people too? Like, they're killing white people and black people. They're killing everybody. Like, like your argument doesn't make any sense when you're trying to make it about race, when everybody should be pissed that the police are killing people. Like, these numbers are outrageous. Like, regardless of the situation, like, stop resisting. 1,232 people, they all should have not resisted. They were resisting or whatever, or they were threatening the police or whatever. 1,232 people. Is there any other way, like, could we adjust the behavior of the police to bring this number down? We're comparing it to UK, and then they're going to say, well, the population is a lot of more people in the United States. That's still not a freaking excuse. Like, each person that dies is another person that's dead. So what are we doing wrong? Why is that the situation? It says this a statistic from 2023, every American should know. They misspelled that. 1,232 American citizens were killed by police in 2023. 56 officers were killed by U.S. citizens in 2023. It says, if this doesn't concern you, you might be indoctrinated. It says 2023 was the most dangerous year on record for Americans being killed by police. There were only 20 days in 2023 where police did not kill someone. In contrast, only 56 law enforcement officers were directly killed in the line of duty, 46 by gunfire, and 10 by vehicular assault. So the number is even smaller when you think about it in a way, because, the one of the arguments that people make is like, the police, they want to make it home to their family, and that's fair. They want to make it home to their family, so they got to do what they got to do sometimes or whatever. But then you take that number even down from 56 down to 46. So does that justify the 1,232 people that were killed so that they can go home to their family? Yes, the 56 police officers shouldn't have died either. No, I'm not justifying that in any way. I'm just saying that they're outweighing each other here. The justification doesn't work. It says, now compare that to the UK, where 3 people were killed by police fatal shootings and 23 deaths were in or following police custody. Hard to quantify how many of those deaths were directly related to police violence. America, we have a problem. it's all about like facing the reality that you have a problem. That's the only way that you can fix it, right? Like you have cancer, you have a health issue or whatever, you know. If you pretend that you don't have it, then you're never gonna go down the road of fixing it. Like if you gotta change your diet or exercise or drink more water or something like that, if you can't even come to the point to realize that you have a problem, then you're not going to go down the road of fixing it. It's kind of like with the border crisis. We do have an issue with the border, but it's like, what are the um, root causes of that situation? And you look at those and you start trying to make adjustments so that you can fix the problem. Putting band-aids on the problem is not going to fix the problem. Like, you have to deal with the root causes of it. And if you can't even come to the point where you realize that you have a problem, then you're not going to even begin to go down the road of fixing it. And we aren't even to the point where we realize that we have a problem because we make excuses for these numbers. Comment, it says, population of 67 million versus 330 million. Again, all you can do is lie with statistics. Yes, the number is different. Is different. The population is definitely different. But do you not see a problem with this 1,232 people dying? You're avoiding the reality that there's a problem. Another comment says, you're supposed to do percentages to population. U.S. has a greater population, so obviously they're going to have more. Learn how to present statistics, please. Okay, still 1,232 people dying. You're okay with that number? Another one says, sounds like America has a crime problem. What? So, okay, America has a crime problem, so then we should kill the people. What makes the police the judge, jury, and executioner? And how is killing them fixing the crime problem? Another comment, it says, how many of them 1232 deserved it? How many innocent people died this year from regular Americans? We are all effed, and the more we split up into different groups, the further from hope we are. How many of those 1232 deserved it? They deserved getting killed. How many of them did? Let's ask that question. Half? So, okay, well, what about the other half? Let's say 90% of them deserved it. What about the 10% that didn't? I want to look at some replies. Let's look at some replies to some of these comments, because hopefully these people gotten their ass. Let's see. This one where it says, did I read this one? It says, wondering how many of those were justified shoots versus unjustified would help paint a better picture. Well, the cops are going to always say we found no wrongdoing in what we did. So, see, look, the first reply says it can be justified any way the officer sees fit. Another one says, not quite. It has to be justified by the elected district attorney in compliance with state law as passed by elected legislation. Okay, tell me you drink the Kool-Aid without telling me you drink the Kool-Aid. Another response, it says, I love how he used logic and you respond with brain rot. Another reply says, not quite, my friend. It still has to be decided in court if it was justified. It is true that cops can get away with certain morally unjustifiable shots, but it doesn't change the fact that they do also have legitimate shots. Yeah, okay, so how many of them are and how many of them aren't? And then if you leave the cops to make the decision, of course they're going to say I was, justified. We investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. Another reply says, so you really just woke up and be like, huh, I'ma suck the boot, huh? Another one says, powerful police unions elected those DAs through huge donations and endorsements. They work with the DA every day. DAs are reluctant to charge most cops for anything, much less murder. Another one that says, you really believe that at least half were justified? Honestly, question, because wouldn't that still be bad? That's like exactly what I just said. They started arguing, so let's move on. The one that says UK police officers getting stabbed at an alarming rate. What? Are they dead though? Oh, let me move on. Let me move on. Did I pass up something? Let's do this one. It says, we are all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, and to the rest of the universe atomically. Neil deGrasse Tyson. The Secret Center Universe says, this is beautiful. I agree. It's pretty beautiful, to think about it. We're all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, and to the rest of the universe atomically. I wish we can look at our things that bring us together instead of the things that separate us, but the media, it bleeds, it leads. And the media just focuses on those few things that we probably would never come to agreement on some topics. And those are the topics that they continue to harp on. But most of the stuff we agree on, and most of the stuff we realize, are common battles or common issues or whatever. But that part we don't talk about. That doesn't make them any money. It doesn't get them clicks. Horrible news spreads fast. I got some horrible news when I was at work today. I'm not gonna say what it was. And then my phone kept on beeping. Like, it seems like everybody wanted to tell me this information and let me know that this was what it was. It's like, why is it so important to share bad news? Why do people feel that it's so important to share bad news? If somebody graduated from college or something like that, do they call everybody and tell them that happened? Do everybody in the family call everybody in the family and tell them that, such and such graduated, graduated high school or something, or graduated college or something like that, something good, it's that has not been my experience. But when something bad happens, everybody has to call and make sure that you know about it. Why is that so important? Let me read some comments. It says, so why do we humans keep fighting? Our money, righteousness? Just back from visiting Mayan ruins, we humans were jockeying for power 1,000 years ago, just much lower density, and we didn't live as long. Another comment is, congratulations, keep going, and one day you'll arrive where Buddha and company were a few millennia ago. That sounded kind of derogatory or negative or whatever. Another comment that says, spiritually, anyone, Neil doesn't have time for that, I suppose, kind of sad. Another one that says, but we are separated by our thoughts, which is an illusion, and is manipulated and controlled through media narratives, through brainwashing, through can't find the words. Another one that says, wonderful and true words. That's the reason, because connection is a life bond for all. Another one, Tyson was created by the kooky leftist media, just like Obama. Neither gained prominence based on merit. One more unsub. What the hell? That was a crazy comment. Tyson was created by the kooky leftist media. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was created by the kooky left media. He's an astrophysicist. He was created by the kooky leftist media. They created this guy. What, they put him in he came out of a petri dish, a liberal petri dish. Like, wow, that's crazy talk. Another comment says, yeah, still we mess up eventually. Another one that says, the first two asserted connections are physical, the third is metaphorical, yet the non-physical, mental, and metaphysical spiritual aspects of our being in connection to the eternal creator are the most important. Another one that says, we are connected to big government by taxes. Another one that says, indigenous people all over the world understood this before contact with Europeans. Yeah, I think we're going backwards and we're getting dumber. I think our ancestors were smarter than us. They have all these tools to distract them. Check this out. It says, I recently came across data on who we spend our time with over the course of our lives. The insights are simultaneously inspiring and depressing. Here are 6 graphs everyone needs to see. Time spent with parents and siblings. Peaks in childhood and declines after age 20. Key takeaways. Time with family is limited. Time with parents declines sharply after age 20. You may only see your loved ones a few more times. Prioritize and cherish every moment. Time spent with family. So we can barely see this chart. It's so little. So on the left, it has hours per day, 1 to 5 here. And at the bottom, it has age. So more than 4 hours per day, time spent with family when you're like 15, 16, 18, or whatever. And then it steeply drops in your 20s of hours per day spent with family. Then it kind of hovers and hovers and hovers to old age. So, but it's like about an hour, less than an hour a day. Says time spent with friends, peaks in childhood and declines after age 20, peaks at age 18 and declines sharply to low baselines. Key takeaways: embrace friendship, breadth, but focus on depth. Cherish those who are with you through good times and bad. So it has time spent with friends, hours per day on the left, and age at the bottom. So it's very similar graph to the other one. It goes up though for this one after 15 years old up into 18 years old. You spend more than 2 hours a day with your friends, and then it sharply declines in your 20s and then hovers. It looks like the numbers are a little bit higher than they were. Maybe not, because it was the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other chart. It says time spent with coworkers. Oh, look at this. So steady during the prime working years from age 20 to 60. Key lessons: you spend a lot of time at work. Who you choose to work with is one of the most important decisions you'll make. Find work and coworkers that create energy in your life. So time spent with coworkers. This is crazy because the chart goes the opposite direction for your friends and family in the age bracket. So of course, when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, it's low. So, but then once you get into your 20s, and it goes up to at least 3 hours a day that you spend with coworkers, and then it drops in the 60s. So apparently that's when people like retire or whatever. So you're spending way more time with the people that you work with than you do with your friends and family throughout the bulk of your life. That's what this chart is saying right here. It says time spent with partner trends upward until death. Key takeaways: who you choose as a partner is the most important decision you'll ever make. Find someone you genuinely enjoy spending time with. Never settle for less than love. Time spent with partner. So once you get into your 20s, like it's pretty much mid to late 20s, then it's 3+ hours a day. And then it goes up in the 60s. So then that makes sense because that's when you like retire or whatever. So you're not at work anymore. So you spend more time with your partner there. And then it drops off a cliff in the 80s. I guess that's when you die. I don't know. One partner dies, I guess. Time spent alone steadily increased throughout your life. Key lessons: learn to embrace solitude, flex your boredom muscle regularly. Flex your boredom muscle regularly. Find happiness and joy in the time you have to yourself. There will be a whole lot of it as you get older. So, teen years, when you get to your 20s, it's like more than 4 hours alone. And then once you get into your 30s, it jumps to over 5 hours. And it keeps on going up over 6, over 7, 8 hours alone, up to nearly 9 hours alone as you get older. That's something to think about. I enjoy my solitude. I ain't gonna lie. But sometimes I think we have a loneliness epidemic in the United States. You know, even though it's like we're more connected than ever, but we're more lonely than ever because we don't actually spend time with other people. We're on our phones and our laptops or whatever. And it's like it's not really spending time with other people. Not really. And, I don't know. I think you have to find, you get healthier when you are able to be truthful with yourself, and that's what happens a lot of times when you're alone. But then we also have our echo chambers that happens, and there goes a mental health issue right there too. So I think we are in the middle of a loneliness epidemics that leads to bad mental health and depression. So time spent with children peaks in your 30s and declines sharply thereafter. Key lessons: time with your children is short. The magic years will fly by if you let them. Be present in every moment. Slow down and embrace the sweetness that children bring to your life. So once you get into your late 20s and 30s, then you're spending 3+ to 4 hours of your life with your kid, and then it declines as you get into your 50s dramatically to an hour, and then less than an hour that you spend a day with your children. Yeah, so when they're young, that's when you have the opportunity to spend time with them. And it's crazy. Most of us spend that time trying to make money, and we work a lot or whatever. And those years go by, like they say, they go by fast. And then, whether you make money or not, that time has passed, and they're not gonna be there for you to spend time with them. They're gonna be moving on and living their own life. So I don't know. It's a really tough decision to make. You have to pay bills. You want to provide for the child and give them what they need, but at the same time, you want to be there for them. But the way our society is set up, it's like you can't do both. It's like you got the perfect life or the perfect scenario, perfect situation to be able to provide for your child and actually be there. We had a whole show talking about having time or money, and it's like most people have one or the other. Very few people have both. So only people who have both are going to actually be able to provide what they really want to provide to with their children and still be able to be there with them. It's like impossible. And our system is set up that way. I think it's and that's why the TV raises the children, or the system raises your children. You're gone trying to provide for them or whatever, and you're told that's what you're supposed to do. But I don't know if that's the right decision. I really don't. And anyways, I could tell some personal anecdotes with that, but I'm not going to do it right now. I made a different decision, and I don't know if it was the right decision. I don't know if it was right, but I did get to spend more time. My daughter's mom passed away when she was 2, so me being there was super important. I had to make a decision. And I used to work a lot when she was little, and I just was like, she was a babysitter to daycare to neighbor, and it was like other people was raising my child, and I was like, nah, I can't do this. So I had to take a huge pay cut, and we struggled for a long time, but I was there. So, in summary, family time is limited, cherish it. Friend time is limited, prioritize real ones. Partner time is significant, never settle. Children time is precious, be present. Coworker time is significant, find energy. Alone time is highest, love yourself. So, if you don't love yourself, if you can't deal with yourself, then as you get older and you spend more time with yourself, you're going to want to off yourself. So, make yourself feel, keep working on yourself as far as your energy and your integrity, your character, respect, have some respect for yourself. Yeah, this was pretty cool. Comments that says, don't assume everyone has kids. The graphic was for people that have kids. If you don't have kids, then ignore that particular graphic. Another comment says, time with Jesus, the best, always available. Okay. Another comment says, wonder what those graphs look like in a work from home world. And things are changing. The 4-day work week is really coming about. They're realizing the benefits of it. Hopefully they can do the same thing with the kids for school, and we could do the 4-day school week too. And then, maybe we have 3-day weekends as a common thing, coming in the near future. And maybe one of those days we can spend some more time with our damn kids and friends and family and shit. And just being creative and making stuff, and expanding our mind and learning stuff that we want to learn that's not related to making money or our job. Another one comment, it says, my husband of 33 years passed away unexpectedly last year. Our youngest, 22, is at home still, but mainly just to help me out. And I know that soon I will be alone. Another one says, what about pets? What about pets? We didn't put that in the graph. Make your own graph with the pets. Another comment says, I don't think love yourself is the takeaway from solitude. It's find purpose. Okay, that's a good point. I mean, have something to do or something that you want to accomplish, have some goals. I think that the moment we stop doing what we do, that's when we die. Like people that like to build stuff or grow and work in their garden and stuff like that, you have to let these people continue to do that. Because that's why when you put them in a home or they get into the hospital or whatever, they die. And it's not necessarily from the sickness. It's that they die because they're not doing what they want to do. They've lost their purpose. They don't feel like it's a reason to be here no more. So they just drift away. We do need something to look forward to every day. Like it's like in the morning, I'm going to do such and such and such. And if in your mind, you're like, in the morning, I'm going to lay here and do nothing, then it's like, what the fuck is the point in waking up tomorrow? Another comment says, thanks, I'm depressed. Another comment says, I would say that this depends a lot on the culture as well. Yeah, so these graphs were definitely American, United States culture driven. And these numbers will probably look very different in other places of the world. And one of the biggest drivers will be the economic backgrounds, because here in the States, we're all about work, 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 work. We're always in a hurry. We always got to make more money, and it's not like that everywhere else in the world. So I'm sure these numbers were very different in other places. Another one says, needed this. I feel like a millennial, we tend to not look at the big picture because it's overwhelming. But if we did, I think a lot of us would be happier. Am I boring y'all with this? Let's move on. I have to do positive stuff too on the show. I can't just talk about freaking negative stuff every time.
Urging nationwide.
At Houston's Texas Children's Hospital, they've got their hands full.
When should a parent take a child to the hospital? So parents need to be on the lookout for respiratory symptoms. We tell parents a lot of time, particularly in the little kids, to look and see if it looks like they're pulling in on their chest.
Estimated hospitalizations have jumped 50% nationwide since last week. Among flu deaths this season, 27 children.
Mister?
Megan and Jesse Parks know that crushing pain.
She was so small.
Their 2-year-old daughter, Kennedy, had the flu last year. Her condition quickly deteriorated, and she stopped breathing as her mom rushed her to the hospital.
Did you ever think it was possible you could lose your daughter to the flu?
When she was sick on that Thursday, and they told us that she had tested positive for the flu, we were thankful. We have the flu down. Like, that's not a problem. People don't die of the flu anymore. And to have those thoughts and think that, and then to have this happen less than 3 days later, and she's gone, I still can't believe it.
Go. Kennedy was up to date on her vaccines and previously had the flu shot, but not last season.
It just wasn't on the top of our list of things to do, and that's really hard to swallow. We did everything, and that's the one thing we didn't do.
The Houston couple told me they wanted to speak out about this, as painful as it was for them to do so, to encourage parents to get that flu shot. And on a happier note, the Parks welcomed a baby boy in November. Nora.
Wow. Janet, I am feeling for them and appreciate them sharing that message. Thank you.
A post-holiday punch with flu cases surging nationwide. At Houston's Texas Children's Hospital, they've got their hands full.
When should a parent take a child to the hospital? So,
yeah, if y'all watch the show, you probably know what I'm thinking. Watching this, and then the whole point of this clip from their perspective is to motivate people to get their kids to get the flu shot. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to get people on. It's like get your kid the flu shot, or the flu might take them out. So let's look at this. It says the U.S. is facing a nationwide surge in flu cases, with 38 states reporting high and very high flu activity. Officials note a significant increase in hospitalizations, estimated to have increased by 50% since the last week of December. I don't know. That sounds really fishy to me. We just came out of a pandemic, and then we got high cases of the flu. And the pandemic that we had was a respiratory illness, and young and elderly were the ones who were mostly susceptible to it. Let's read some comments. It says, well, it questions why so much flu shots and the boosters, if no matter what you still got going to get it. I question myself, why does the shot have, maybe instead of helping, it's affecting your immune system? I'm trying to be careful even reading these comments, because certain words are going to trigger the algorithm. So yeah, the last time I got a flu shot, it was years ago, and I got sick as a damn dog after getting the flu shot. It made me so sick, so I didn't want to get it no more after that. That was my story. And well, my daughter, she's 16, and I like to let her make her own decisions about things. So if she wanted to get whatever shot, a booster or whatever, flu shot or whatever, I would support her on it. But if she doesn't want to get it, I'm going to support her on that too. It's her body. So she's going to put stuff in it, and she has to deal with the outcomes of it, not me. So I feel like she's old enough to make that decision. comment. It says, cool story, still won't get fact. It says, PEDS nurse for over 20 years. It is flu and RSV season and has been for the last 20 years. This is all fear mongering. People need to wake up to this crap. Another comment, it says, painful to watch. So sorry for their loss. It says, another one, it says, I'm sorry for this tragic loss. Another one, it says, people have been flu forever, so why is it news now? Another comment, it says, I got my vaccination. Another one, it says, SoCal is getting the triple RSV flu and a very contagious pandemic. It's still warm here, so it's unusual. So I'll say my goodbyes to all of you. It's a hoax. Election year. Wake up, people. I hope you survive the long, cold winter. Another comment says, well, the fatalities will be nowhere near what the fatalities in the Gaza genocide are as a result of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' contribution. Okay, this is not what we're talking about right now. Another one says, must be a presidential election year. People aren't buying the BS. You're peddling media. Only useful idiots will listen to your BS.
Ski mask? Well, you don't have to imagine it. 11 states across the United States have already placed restrictions on masks. A new controversial law in Philadelphia adds the city of brotherly love to that list. The bill, which was passed by the Philly City Council and became law after the mayor didn't take action on it, bans people from wearing ski masks, or better known as shiesties, in schools, parks, public transportation, and more. There are a few exceptions, including for religious purposes, winter sports, and First Amendment activities like protesting. But outside of that, you are looking at a $250 fine just for wearing a ski mask. $2,000 if you wear one while committing a crime. Opponents note that by explicitly choosing to still fine people who are not engaging in criminal activity reveals that the policy is not just designed to stop or punish crime, but to police and penalize specific people who wear this style. The bill says that the rising popularity of ski masks that coincided with the COVID-19 pandemic also correlated with a rise in people wearing them while committing crimes. Supporters of the ban say that it will help prevent violent crime and aid the police in identifying and apprehending subjects. Opponents point out that there is absolutely no evidence that fining people for wearing ski masks helps police prevent or stop crime. This just fines everyday people not engaging in criminal activity and increases monetary penalties for people who the police already would have apprehended for their alleged crimes. Correlation is not causation. Instead of addressing the obvious causes of crime or the relationship between the COVID-19 pandemic and rises in crime most logically associated with job loss, this ban will be used as a pretext to harass and search Black and brown people, among whom ski masks have become a popular style, thanks in part to rapper Pooh Shiesty. The ban, they say, is another example of using hip-hop as a scapegoat to target Black and brown youth, criminalizing an entire culture, music, and fashion as justification. We've seen it all before, from Mayor Eric Adams' attack on drill rap in New York to bans on nearly every color of the spectrum that could represent gang ties. Even common knives used by stagehands, steel workers, and other blue-collar workers were banned for decades under a measure used to disproportionately target marginalized people. One ACLU attorney calls Philadelphia's ski mask ban unconstitutional and says that it will criminalize poverty, while a progressive member of the city council says the bill criminalizes and marginalizes young Black men. Critics say that there is no empirical evidence proving that masks lead to more crime, and resources used to enforce this bill would be better spent elsewhere. Can we please put more energy in giving young people more opportunities to thrive, rather than more opportunity to be arrested and shoved into our criminal legal system? In recent years, cities like New York and DC have struck down their own mask bans in the name of equity, while Atlanta's proposed ban failed to move forward thanks to resistance from the community. But elsewhere in the country, bans remain on the books, yet another weapon in the war on crime that hurts the very people it's supposed to help. Can you imagine being fined for wearing a ski mask? Well, You don't have to imagine it. 11 states across the United States have already placed restrictions on masks.
Yeah, it's crazy how so many people were pushing against wearing masks. Now it's becoming a damn trend. You know, there's multiple ways to look at this thing. Um, you know, it's true that what she's saying that it will affect marginalized communities more than others because they're the ones that are. It's a trend, and they're hopping on it and they're doing it. But look, they're the music has been used as a tool to hurt certain communities, and but we don't have to let that we don't have to follow those trends. We don't have to let that manipulate us and get us into it. We don't have to wear these poo shiesties or whatever. Like, it's so cool to wear them or whatever, but it's going to lead you into situations where people are going to automatically look at you as a criminal, so you don't have to do that. I mean, it is wrong what she's saying to say that these people are criminals just because they're wearing masks, but you have to understand that people are human anyways. I saw a clip where the rapper, what is his name, Boosie, he was talking to his son and he was saying, I don't like those masks, they make me feel uncomfortable. I automatically think somebody is trying to rob me or something, and I get anxiety and I get nervous and I start watching those people. So he's like, I don't want you to be wearing those masks. He was talking to his son. It's a video on his Instagram page. And it's like, I feel the same way. I don't agree with these masks. I don't like them. I don't like the ski masks like that. If it's cold outside, really cold, like, ski mask makes sense. But if it's freaking in the middle of the summer and you're wearing that thing, it makes you look like you don't want people to see your face, so because you're planning on committing a crime. You might not be planning on committing a crime, but it makes you look that way. So just don't fall for the trends. I think that people are getting set up. You're getting set up and you're falling for it. You're drinking the Kool-Aid and you're falling for it, and it's like so cool. And all of the kids are wearing these things, and it's the big trend. And I wish that we just didn't fall for this shit every time. Like, it's gonna have negative impacts on you. Don't just stop following the trends. Stop jumping on the train every damn time. They're setting you up for failure. So, and it's just really ironic that a lot of us were pushing back about wearing masks because they were forcing us to wear them. Now they figured out a way to get you to wear them without you, as a trend. You know what I mean? Like, when they forced you to wear them, you didn't want to wear them. Now they're not forcing you to wear them and you wearing them on your own. What a mind fuck. Didn't they got into your mind, they got you, man. Now there's politics. It says why states are cracking down on people wearing ski masks. States are cracking down on people wearing ski masks in public with hefty fines, but these laws might be another way to target Black and brown people. Comments. It says, as a teacher, I can tell you that there are major issues in schools. I'm a huge freedom guy, but they are a problem and can be unsafe. Another comment, it says, imagine, if you will, you are a small business owner, operator, a convenience store. It's midsummer and 5 guys walk into your store late at night wearing ski masks. How does that make you feel? Edgy. You're going to probably pull out your gun and have it close by and just wait for them to move erratically. And you're going to, like the guy previous comment said, it's unsafe. Next comment says, I agree with this law 100%. I agree with it too. I hate to be that guy. I sound like an old fuddy-duddy. But man, y'all just stop it. Like, it's not a good look. Another comment says, can't wear a ski mask in public, but can carry guns in public. Seriously, what the F? Wow, that's a actually fair ass comment right there. That's a fair comment. You can't wear a ski mask in public, but can carry guns in public. Another comment says, stop doing crimes, problem solved. What a simplistic ass, ignorant ass comment right there. Tell me you're a dumbass without telling me you're a dumbass. Another comment says, as a black woman who lives in Philly, ban it. There hasn't been snow here for over 2 years. What the F do you need a ski mask for? All that talk doesn't mean anything after you've been assaulted by teenagers on SEPTA and can't identify the assailants. Another comment, ski masks are okay for the First Amendment activities, so the Proud Boys were protecting the Proud Boys. Another one says, y'all act like this is outrageous. There isn't any damn reason to be wearing a full face ski mask on public transit or in a corner store. No reason. Another comment says, my niece and I were threatened in a train in Chicago over Christmas by 2 guys wearing these types of masks. It's not for fashion or function. They're wearing them to conceal their identities and get into trouble many times. I'm a freedom guy, but this is becoming a real problem. Well, I disagree with half of this comment because he says they're not wearing it for fashion. It's not for fashion or function, but it is to these kids. To these kids, it is. A lot of them are wearing it for fashion. They really are, believe it or not, but they are. It's a trend. It's really, really popular. A lot of these kids are completely innocent, not trying to commit any kind of crimes. They just think it's cool. Another comment says, anyone saying, why would you wear a ski mask if you're not skiing? Elijah McClain was murdered by cops and paramedics in Colorado because someone called him suspicious for wearing a ski mask. Was he committing a crime? No, he was anemic and would wear one out to avoid getting too cold. He was murdered for doing nothing except for being a black man while wearing a ski mask. And that is true. And I covered at the beginning of the show, one of the, some people did get in trouble. They were talking about the cop. He only got like 14 months in prison behind that. And that was a special circumstance right there. So I don't know if I have the clip in here. I think I do. I'm going to find that where it's an old police video, training video, and the guy was a deaf mute, and he was pulling out his ID to make it look, to tell them, I'm deaf mute. And it was a training video to keep the cops from shooting people, but the guy wasn't following commands, and he was approaching the police, and he reached in his pocket to pull out his little ID that showed he was a deaf mute. It's like, and it was an old training video of 1980. And I know right now, 2024, they're gonna mow you down, and then feel bad about it later and be like, well, we didn't know he was a deaf mute. And that's kind of like similar to the Elijah McClain situation, because he had a medical condition that led him to wear the ski mask. And this happened before the Pooh Shiesty thing got all popular and shit. Now all of the kids are wearing them, but at that time they wasn't. So it really did look extremely weird to the police to see this guy walking around with the ski mask. So I don't know. I guess that's the opposite side of this. So the opposite effect of this is going to lead, because the police know a lot of stuff too. They know what's up. They got kids too. They know that a lot of these kids are just wearing the ski mask as fashion or whatever. So it's going to make them a little less suspicious looking now because all of the kids are wearing them. Another comment says, ski masks are for skiing in wintertime. People are wearing them just out and about and for doing crimes. Good ban. If you want to hide your identity in public, then stay home. Yeah, I don't. People who make those comments like that don't have kids, and they don't know that these kids are wearing them just because it's really, it's popular. It's a popular trend right now. They want to look like the rappers. What's his name? They showed a clip of that guy in this clip right here. The rapper, what is his name? Well, they showed Pooh Shiesty, the guy who really made it famous, but what's his name? 6ix9ine. He's always got him on. He's really popular. He's always showing, on internet. He's a I don't know. He's an internet freaking person. He's always on the scene, and he always has his on. Always has it on. And the kids look up to these people, and they want to be like them, and they imitate them. It's not that they're just out trying to commit crimes. They're just easily freaking manipulated. I don't know. We were probably like that when we was kids too. So if we were their age, we'd probably be wearing the pooch ices too, just like them. Let me see. Where's that training video that I just mentioned? Did I share that? Was it on Instagram? Or was it on Twitter? Hold on, let me see. Yep, it's Twitter. Let's go to Twitter and look at this.
Get your hands up! Hold it right there! John, watch it! Hold it right there, Johnny! Reach it behind his back! Hold it! Freeze! Don't move! John, watch out!
So he pulls out a wallet. It says, "I'm deaf and dumb."
Get your hands up! Hold it right there!
Give him some verbal commands.
Hold right there! Stop! Freeze! Brother! Hold it! Freeze! Don't move! John, watch out!
All right. I think I probably just killed an innocent person.
You killed the deaf mute.
That's right.
Shot them with your gun.
That's right.
Why did you do that, officer?
Well, I thought he had a gun. Oh yeah, when he pulled it out of his back pocket like that.
What did you think? What did you think that he was pulling out?
Well, I thought he was pulling out a gun.
Legally, it would be a justifiable shooting, based solely on the beliefs of the officer. What was his state of mind at the time?
Hold it! Freeze!
Whether or not it would be a justifiable shooting in the eyes of the community or in the officer's own eyes afterwards is entirely a different story.
So, and they're saying that it would actually be a justified shooting because it would be based on the perception of the police officer, or after the fact of finding out that the guy was a deaf mute. So if he's deaf, he can't follow the commands, and he's doing what he's supposed to do by approaching the officer and showing his badge that shows that I can't hear and I can't talk. So after the fact, the police officer will probably feel bad, even though he'd probably get, a justified shooting related with this or whatever. So, but then this is a pretty cool training, I think. But they stopped doing this in like the 80s or whatever. And what I was saying was, I think that this kid would get shot here in 2024. He would not make it. So it's a historic vids. It says, this controversial police training video from the 1980s was used by the Chicago Police Department until it was pulled in 2017. According to a DOJ report, the use of force video was clearly out of date with today's police standards. Clearly out of date with today's police standards. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Clearly out of date with today's police standards. What does that mean? Comments, it says, LOL, who wouldn't smoke the deaf kid in this absurd training scenario? Like, the way it was set up, it did look extreme, but at the same time, it's kind of like for a good purpose to give the cops, training to take a moment to hesitate a bit, to try to realize the situation before using lethal force. But then, like I said, what it said at the top says clearly out of date with today's police standards. So, them using excessive force seems like it's the first move that they do. I hate that they put ads in the damn things now.
Head. Do you want
Let's look at this
decidedly helpless position? No, it's not a fencing match. Stop. No, not on the head. Do you want to bring your prisoner into court looking like Exhibit A in a charge of police brutality? Two-handed strokes are very effective when the officer is attacked from both front and rear. If the opponent is successful, his attack may be countered in this manner. To stop a fleeing adversary, a cut to the shoulder, to the kidneys, the thigh, knee, calf, or ankle will usually suffice. A surprising amount of power can be transmitted to the tip of the baton by mere wrist motion, eliminating a time-consuming backswing. From the position of port arms, numerous two-handed thrusts and cuts can be executed. The butt strokes to the solar plexus and chin are particularly effective. This come along also aids in placing the prisoner in a...
Like, this video looks absurd, but you see like their main tool is like the baton. And it's like, that's not the case anymore. Their main tool is the freaking pistol now. Like, they have tasers, but they barely use them. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to cover that because it was related to what we were talking about. Since we're here, let's look at this. It says, when you see the Republican politicians saying that school shootings are due to mental health, remind them that they voted against mental health access in schools. It says 205 House Republicans voted against a bill to increase access to mental health care in schools. Let's hold them accountable on Election Day. So this is an argument I've been making over and over again. It's because every time we have a shooting, they say a school shooting. Every time we have a school shooting, they say, it's guns don't kill people, people kill people, and we need to focus on mental health. They say that shit every time. So then, you have this bill in the House to increase access to mental health services in school, and what did it say? 205 Republicans voted against the bill. So, like, where is that? Where can somebody explain to me how does that work when they say, we need to increase mental health every time there's a school shooting, but then when you have a bill to increase mental health services in school, you vote against it? Help me understand. What am I not seeing here? Because like I say, put your money where your mouth is. If you talk about mental health as the issue, put money into mental health. Don't just talk about it. Replies, it says, this is such a political, unsophisticated take. What are Republicans opposed to kids getting mental health care? Of course not. But as usual, bills put forward by both parties are often not intended to pass, but to embarrass the other side is a total waste of time. Not intended to pass. I mean, they do that, but like, why would this particular bill for increasing, funds for mental health in schools, be not intended to pass. And it looked like it passed. It got 219 Democrats voted yes. It looked like it passed. Another reply says, I don't think you understand. The mental health crisis is being promoted by mental health experts inside of the schools, telling children that they aren't what they are and they aren't what they aren't, and that their parents are bad, that they need to feel how they look, and they look how they feel. True mental health is not available for their generation anymore. It's that's That sounds like what you're saying is we just got to give up. It's over. There's nothing we can do. Another comment says, shocking. Ugh, it's not even related. Another one says, cool, what else is in the bill? Now, that's a fair comment. Like, that's what you can say. Like, what the Republicans were voting against was not necessarily related to, increasing funding for mental health in schools, but there were some other lines in that bill that they didn't agree with, and that's the reason why they voted against it. So we'd have to actually see the lines in the bill to see if that was the case. Another comment says, by mental health access, you're talking about medically transitioning kids against their parents' knowledge or consent. At least be honest. Again, we'd have to see the lines in the bill to say that that's true. The way it looks to me that it was talking about, money to go to the school so you can have counselors in there, to help these kids going through what they're going through. Another one, it says, Repubs objected to a section in the bill that amended the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 so that it included services for mental health and addiction. Repubs were interested in passing legislation for mental health because without it, they can't continue to blame mental health for all the school shootings. It said, Repubs objected to the section in the bill that amended the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 so that it included services for mental health and addiction. It says government programs aren't the solution to mental health crisis. In fact, removing government social welfare will help families stay together, which would do more to solve the crisis than with therapists on drugs. Oh my God, I really hate these kinds of comments. I really hate these arguments because they really carry a lot of weight and people really follow this thing. But it's like, so the solutions aren't the solution. The solution is no solution. That's what you just said. So are all these families, the ones that are going through mental health, are they on some kind of social welfare or whatever? How can you say that? That can't be, you don't have any basis for that, and we're not necessarily talking about government programs. We're talking about money in the school for the kids to freaking get mental health help when they're in school, How else are you going to do it? What solution do you have? He says, removing government social welfare will help families stay together. So if families stay together, then we're going to have better mental health. And therapists or drugs, they're not going to be prescribing kids drugs in schools. Definitely not going to be doing that. Nobody's going to approve that. Like, what parent is going to be okay with the counselor giving their kids drugs in school? Another reply says, how many times does this have to happen before y'all catch on to how these votes work? One side puts in things they know the other side would never agree with and call it don't kill children bill. So when the opposing side vetoes it, they can have you argue for them like, oh, they want to kill kids. Both sides are guilty of this. That's why no progress has been made lately. Now, that's kind of true. I mean, that's kind of fair. And that's the good cop, bad cop thing. And I think that, yes, our politics, our Congress, they haven't been getting much done. And it's been like that for a while now. It's a stalemate, you know? And I think the whole point of it is as a the American people get screwed as a result. Nothing gets done. They're arguing about random ass shit and try to impeach one of the presidents or impeach another president or whatever the hell, like take them off the ballot, this, that, and the other. How does any of that help the American people at all? Shouldn't they be there trying to pass legislation to help the American people? But no, they're not doing that. They're arguing about who they're going to impeach or Biden's laptop or Trump's being on the ballot. That's the kind of stuff that they're doing. And we're all caught up in that shit. And it's like, hoorah for whoever side, my team or whatever. Meanwhile, we are losing because they aren't passing shit. They're not getting a goddamn thing done. It says the new BRICS 10 accounts for almost half of the world's population, much of the world's natural reserves, and has PPP GDP that is 20% larger than that of the G7. And 30 more countries want to join BRICS this year. Goodbye, globalists, source The Economist. Yeah, so I don't know if they're showing it in here, but I think it's 7 countries just joined the BRICS. Do they show it on here? I have that somewhere where it shows the list of the countries that just joined. It's like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. I want to say, who else? I don't want to say the wrong names. I'm gonna play this video and I'm gonna look for that clip while this is playing.
Many of us suspect that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset to Mossad and that Ghislaine Maxwell was in fact an agent of Mossad. There's a lot of evidence that point to this direction, and that they were operating a blackmail operation in order to get very powerful people, including people like yourself, in precarious positions to where you could potentially work on behalf of the state of Israel or protect the state of Israel.
I've been working on the state of Israel. I've been working for the state of Israel since before you were born. Jeffrey Epstein once visited me in Israel. He had never been there. He didn't know anybody in Israel. He didn't work for the Mossad. The Mossad wouldn't hire him. And I hope he had videotapes of everybody, because they would show I never did anything improper. I have one other question. Are you used to having people come on your show to talk about one subject and then sandbagging them on another subject without any warning? Because it's nice to know you do that, and it will make certain that I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to talk about any of this, but I'm used to more ethical journalism.
No, we actually did notify the people who booked you onto the show that you would be asked about Epstein, and they assured us that you were aware of this.
No, they never notified me about that, and you'd have to show me that email.
Okay. One last question. Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
No, of course not. Well, he didn't kill himself without the help of some people. He did kill himself, but he killed himself with the help of guards. He didn't do it by himself. He couldn't have done that, obviously, though. The videos were turned off, and the guards turned their back, and his cellmate left. So I think he killed himself, but he killed himself with the assistance of some people in law enforcement.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dershowitz, thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate
I can't find the clip I'm looking for. I hate that. It's hard to do this thing live like that. I have a lot of clips and I scroll through them and I can't find what I'm looking for. That's kind of why I do the show where I do it and let stuff just pop up randomly. Because if I just keep on going, I know it's going to pop up. So this is Kim Iverson. I'm a fan of her. I watch her show. This is it says this is the most important interview of the past year, and most people never saw it. 2 months ago, Kim Iverson pressed Alan Dershowitz on Epstein's Mossad connection. Given what was disclosed today, I think you find his reaction interesting. This is what real journalism looks like. I don't know if I completely agree with those comments. You know, I really like Kim Iverson's stuff, you know, but sometimes she can be a bit on the conspiracy theorist train, you know. As far as Epstein being with Mossad, I don't know about that, but you know, there is some stuff like ISIS popping up now again and attacking Iran. Yeah, and if you know, then you know. Yeah. Anyways, I want to be careful how I talk about that. The Houthis thing is escalating. Let's play some of this right here.
You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. You know, Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it. At his rally, he jokes about an intruder whipped up by the big Trump lie, taking a hammer to Paul Pelosi's skull and echoing the very same words used on January 6th. Where's Nancy? And he thinks that's funny. He laughed about it. What a sick.
I played this clip yesterday. I don't think that's funny. Man, it's so frustrating when I'm freaking got something I'm looking for and I can't find it. Oh, this is the clip I talked about, Houston Chronicle. Let's share this. Because I mentioned this earlier. Right here it says, minutes after being sworn in, John Whitmire opens tenure as mayor with Houston police ride along. I met this guy too, the what is his position? Police chief or whatever? He came in the restaurant, chopped it up with this guy one day. It says, just 29 minutes after being sworn in as Houston's mayor, John Whitmire was in the passenger seat of Houston Police Department squad car, watching officers respond to everything from homicides to noise complaints, he said. Says, having campaigned on a platform addressing crime and criminal justice, Whitmire said the ride-along was important, not just to understand the issues facing the city, but to show his support for first responders. Houston Chronicle posted this. They said, despite some indications crime has declined in the city, Mayor John Whitmire has promised to hire more police officers and explore other possibilities to bolster the department. This lets the public know our number one priority is public safety, he said, and it lets first responders know I am out here with them and that I support them. It gets them rejuvenated. Comments, it says, always more money more police. Meanwhile, we have citizens feeding the homeless themselves and getting ticketed for it. Priorities. Another one, it says, in order to fix crime, you have to address poverty, but no one ever does that. Another one, if he cared about first responders, he could ride along with firefighters and ambulances. Another one, indication crime has declined. Seriously, there was 421 carjackings, theft in Memorial Kirkwood area last month. Sorry, that's a people issue. There goes people not wanting to trust the damn data. Another comment says, have him become a substitute teacher next. What does that? Another one says, why is America so effing obsessed with cops? Like fund other things that address poverty. Saying, you know, you really want to fix the the crime, then get people, make sure they got jobs, make sure they got health care, make sure they got food. Another comment says, decline where, maybe just stop blogging it. Another comment says, moving back to Houston after 20 years, crime is crazy, worse than even Oakland. Good luck, we need it. It's like a person's personal anecdote, you know, their own perception, their own point of view, and then they think it's true. Like, and you can't argue with what people, you know, how they feel about things. Like, it's like, I saw carjackings happen or whatever, so crime is up. It's like, okay, man. Okay. Another comment says, did you guys know that when police were first created in the U.S., it was to capture escaped slaves? I say that's still their purpose. Another one that says, not feeling this guy at all. Another one that says, he should have rode with city streets department so he can fix these raggedy ass streets. Now, certain neighborhoods get their streets fixed and others don't. That's a continual, never-ending story, though. I mean, right after, as soon as they fix it, it gets damaged again. So it's like, we need a new system. Another comment says, just make the existing department run more efficient, pay the goods well, and weed out the bad ones. Another one says, man, y'all really don't want this guy to succeed, do you? Mayors aren't superheroes. They can make everything better overnight. And all everyone does in these comments is complain. Yeah, well, his focus is getting more police officers when the stats are saying that crime is down. So did I play this clip? I think I did.
You know him? I mean, everybody knows him. He's a self-made billionaire. What? He's a self-made. No, I heard you. It's just, he's not. Yeah. A lot of people don't know. He started Amazon as an online bookstore working out of his garage. Do you know where he was working when he started the business? I don't. It was a hedge fund. Huh. And then his parents gave We all get a little help from our parents. $100,000. $100? Okay. And another $145,000 the next year. Oh. But he did successfully build an online bookstore. I mean, he had the money to pay software developers and people to write the code. Well, he did a really good job growing it into something big. He did also get $8 million in 1995 from Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Bayer. $8 million? Yeah. And I don't know if it's fair to say that Amazon did things better or more efficiently. They had a lot of cash on hand and they bought up their competitors. Huh? Yeah, the list of Amazon's mergers and acquisitions is over 100 lines long. What? Instead of competing for customers by offering the best products and prices, Amazon absorbed and purchased companies that occupied spaces in the market they wanted. If you can't beat them, buy them. Yeah. Well, now the company has a profit of $225,152 million annually. And they're busting up their employees' union. Why would you need a union if you work at Amazon? Well, warehouse workers report not even having enough money to take the bus after doing 9-hour shifts of calisthenics. Yikes. And Amazon workers are injured at double the rate of what is the industry standard. 6.8 serious injuries for every 100 workers in those warehouses. I guess 2-day shipping comes at a cost. Human lives. 6 employees died in a tornado when they were working in the warehouse because of the no cell phones policy. 4 employees died within the span of less than a month this past summer. 1 forklift crash, another cardiac arrest on Prime Day, and another fell off of a ladder and sustained head injuries. Really? Employees documented temperatures in storage containers reaching 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Damn. In the warehouse that did unionize, Amazon has refused to negotiate a contract despite the union being officially recognized. And in warehouses that are still trying to unionize, Amazon has created a culture of fear and hired professional anti-union consultants and has been found guilty of intimidating workers and union busting on multiple occasions. I never hear about this in the news. All while Jeff Bezos is getting richer. He made $4.22 billion according to leaked IRS documents and only paid a less than 1% tax rate on it. I pay a higher tax rate than him? Which means Jeff Bezos is getting rich off of workers who might be on food stamps or taking public transportation that's been partially paid for by you. I'm gonna change the photo in that frame. Maybe put one of your grandma. Maybe one of my grandma.
Yeah, I think the first part of this clip is the most important part. Where
I'm sorry, is that Jeff Bezos? It is. Oh, you know him? I mean, everybody knows him.
Because, you know, they always tell their stories like, okay, Jeff Bezos started Amazon from out of his garage. So the way they tell the story is like anybody could do it. We all could be Jeff Bezos if we would just work hard and come up with good products and be innovative and forward thinking and all of this fucking bullshit. And it's like they're like, well, you know, he was working in his garage and he built a garage. She's like, well, he was a hedge fund manager. It was like his parents gave him lots and lots of money. Like, you know, it's like Tesla is like the same thing. And then Google did the same thing. Like the you know, like she said about buying up the competition and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, not really being innovative, just freaking these hostile takeovers is how these things happen, and having unlimited freaking funds to freaking continue to fail and still stay in business. Like, I don't know, man. We love to worship these people and we love to believe in these stories that these people are just like above us, like they're, you know, better than humans, like they're like, you know, ultimate humans, like they're superhuman, like, and we love to believe those stories. And then at the same time, we like to believe that any one of us could just be Tesla, you know, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg or whatever. And it's like when you go and you look at the stories, and I've covered it. I did Elon Musk. I did a deep dive on Elon Musk on one of the shows, and the guys were still making arguments. And it's like, you know, robber barons, you know, all of that stuff. Like this guy fits the description of that stuff. And then they're like, so, and you're like, I still really like the guy. I still think he created, you know, Tesla and all of that shit, and he didn't. He didn't. Like the information is there that shows that he didn't. Like he bought that company and like whatever. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what I say. People have been programmed to think a certain way about these people, and you know they control the media. That's the reason why Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Like, whatever, man. Let's read some comments. It says, "Perfect. Only needed one thing. After why having hearing about this in the news, oh, he bought the Washington Post, and now they don't write bad stories about him." See? Another comment that says, "Monopolies are the end point of capitalism. Is literally designed as such." Like it can't help but to go that way when you have this drive for first off, it's profit over people, but it's over last year, profits over last year. You know, this what am I trying to think of? Like constantly going up. Like if you can't never get to a point where you're like maintain and you're good, I'm at this point and this is fine. No, that's not good enough. We have to keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the system. So it's going to automatically lead to global conglomerates. It's going to automatically lead to monopolies. So it's automatically going to lead to, in every sector, it's only 2 or 3 companies that run that sector. And there's no real competition. All the competition is an illusion. They're owned by the same companies. You know, it's like the game Monopoly. You know, the game always ends with one person owning the whole board. It's the point of the game. Let's read some no comments. It says, but millions of people keep flocking to this company to work for him. Why? Well, they don't have much choices now. It's like Amazon hires everyone. Like they are the ones, they're one of the biggest employers in the United States, like Walmart. Like, you know, it's like my dad's people was from Riverside, Texas, and it's right outside of Huntsville, and it's a little small town. And everybody that lives there, they either work for like a corner store, like gas station type, convenience store type of deal, or they work at the prison. There's a huge prison, multiple prisons right out there in Huntsville. So, like, those are your choices for employment. Like, you know, that's it. So, of course, they're going to work for the prison. That's the best job that you can get living out there in that area. So, that's what we have. It's not that people are like, oh, I really want to work for Amazon. It's like their choices are limited, and Amazon is one of the better choices. Another comment, it says, the pathetic thing here is she's simply relating simple facts about how business is done and presenting it as an evil thing. The warehouse accusations are totally overblown and anecdotal. The narrative of corporations, billionaires bad is simply childish. No Amazon employee in the history of the company has ever experienced truly dangerous or exploitative working conditions. Gen Z is perhaps the most historically blind and ignorant generation ever produced. I think he's fair to say that some of that stuff was anecdotal and kind of overblown as far as the situations, but he's all the way wrong where he's saying dangerous and exploitative working conditions, because that's exactly what happens in not just Amazon, all kinds of companies across the board. And the part at the beginning where he's saying presenting businesses as evil. Um, uh, he's overlooking the part where she was saying how he built his business from his garage, and that's just simply not true. Like, that's the part I want to focus on. Like, the idea of Bezos is not real. Let's read another one. It says, not to mention, Bezos does not have any inclination to put money back out into the populace. He would rather hold on to all of it for his greedy little self. You know, another one that says he still built the company, raising capital is part of the game. Yeah, it's so cool if you had a parent to freaking give you $150,000 or $250,000 or whatever, like raising capital is part of the game. Yeah. I mean, we all would do it if we had a parent that freaking could. Like, Trump has a famous quote where he said, I started with a small loan of $1 million and I never looked back. Small loan of $1 million. I never looked back. Small loan of $1 million. Never looked back. Freaking, how many of the rest of us could be all right if we fucking had a small loan of $1 million to start our fucking companies? You know, the small loan of $1 million came from his family members or whatever. Let's read this one. It says, spend your money locally. If you can't find a thing locally, you really don't have to use Amazon. There are other places on the internet to get the thing you need. Our local store will order it for you. And most of the things you need don't need 2-day shipping. If it does, you didn't plan ahead. You can use Amazon as a search engine to find a thing, and usually the seller who has a website somewhere else. Your money is your vote and your voice. Use it wisely. I think this is the great, fantastic comment. I try to say it all the time. I don't use Amazon. I mean, and maybe it's because I'm old school and I just don't trust the internet or whatever. I don't have an Amazon Prime service. I keep getting these ads to tell me because I'm a student that I can get it for free. And then after that, after a year or something or whatever, it's 50% off or whatever. and it's really freaking enticing to me, but I haven't used it. And my daughter wants me to get it because she likes to freaking order stuff online or whatever. But it's like local is the answer, man, and we don't have to use these damn companies. We don't have to use Amazon, but we're all addicted to it. And then that thing with the 2-day shipping, the overnight shipping and shit, and that's the main reason why people like to use Amazon, is because I want my shit now. Like, I want it like the moment I order it, I want it to be outside my door, like afterwards or whatever. And this is how we get to this point where we're freaking basically destroying the world for our little conveniences or whatever. Like, we can't wait a couple of days for the shit that we ordered, So now you got Amazon drivers ungodly schedule, and they gotta speed down the damn freeway and make like 2,000 damn stops within their freaking 8-hour workday and shit. Like, unbelievably ungodly freaking pressure on them, because your ass wants your freaking package in 30 minutes and shit. Like, and that's the reason why we got all this shit coming from around the world, child labor on the other side of the world. All of this is a result of us wanting our shit like in fucking 24 hours. We don't care what the consequences of it. All we care about is getting our package in 24 hours. That is the real problem. We're selfish as hell. But look, next comment, it says, but the feeling of joy when an Amazon delivery notification hits my phone is undeniable. See? That is it right there. That's the whole thing right there. I don't care how many child laborers, kids in mines, some guy passed out in the warehouse trying to fill your order. All you care about is that notification. Reply to this guy's comment. It says, and now I hope you associate that joyous feeling with the guilt of workers at Amazon all over the world being abused and exploited. Another reply to that one, it says, you need to find something better to make you happy. You must be so empty. That's what it does. This consumerism, we're addicted to it. And it's kind of like the likes and shares on the internet or whatever. It gives us that little dopamine hit, and it makes us happy for like a few minutes. And then we're on to the next thing because we have to keep searching for that hit because we're empty. Our lifestyle is not balanced with the earth. We're all really depressed and lonely, really. And that's why I look at people, when I'm at work and they're on their phone. Whenever people have a few moments of time, like most people, the average person, whenever they have a few moments of time to spare, they're scrolling. They're either scrolling on like Instagram, TikTok, or whatever to get the dopamine hit for the likes and shares or whatever, or some like random ass news or like event or extraordinary fucking thing that's on there, or they're shopping, like looking for something, like filling their cart or whatever with items or whatever. And it's like, that's what it is. That's how we fill our life. And this consumerism is how we get by. It's what, it's the fake happiness because we're really depressed. Everything's going to shit, but we are distracted by the scrolling for, either likes and shares or the extraordinary debauchery that be on your timeline, stuff that make you angry and emotional to distract you from your present life, or you're shopping for something, crazy. It works. It's perfect. Another comment says, people defending billionaires in the comments. I'm telling you. Another one that says, I don't think billionaires or for that matter capitalism should exist, but denying that Bezos or other business leaders are skilled, talented operators is delusional and frankly dangerous. In a future democratic socialist society, people like Bezos and your billionaires could make a valuable contribution and be held accountable. The problem is that the system, not Bezos or other individuals. I agree, it's the system and not individuals, but we also put these people on a pedestal that's not real. Like we get to the point where we're worshiping these people like Bezos, Elon Musk, and Zuckerberg. And a lot of the stories are just not true. You know, if my dad owned a diamond mine and that was given to him, he bought it with the money he got from a jet given to him. I mean, it must be nice. The rest of us could do the same thing if we had those situations. I'm not saying I'm jealous of this person. I'm just saying they're not extraordinary. They just had special circumstances. This clip was funny. I don't know if I want to share it. She says, I'm a saltine cracker. What did she say? She said, I'm not a saltine cracker. The 5-day work week is over. U.S. precision strike kills Iran-backed militia leader. Yeah, that shit is growing. I don't know if I want to cover that. Let's do this.
An interesting year because it continued to be an employees market, even though economists were predicting a recession, right? Things were supposed to go south. They didn't. The market remained really, really strong. But at the same time, companies started demanding that people show up, that you get that return to office mandates were growing by leaps and bounds by all the major companies we know, Disney and Meta and Amazon and on and on and on. And yet what happened was employees didn't, for the most part, play ball, right? I mean,
okay, tell me to come back. Good luck with that.
Well, they came back somewhat, but you know, if you look at Nick Bloom, who is the Stanford economist who follows all of this, and I was talking with him, and he said, you know, it was 40% of people at the beginning of last year. 40% of people still worked at home at least one day or more a week. And that number has not changed. So even though we hear about a lot of companies demanding butts in seats, it's not happening.
Look, maybe they're demanding that you're there 1, 2, 3 days a week, but you still have 40% who get at least 1 day a week.
At least 1 day a week. So here's
maybe you're back more, just not 100%.
So what I think is interesting is 2/3 of CEOs in a pretty massive global study said that by 2026 they expect we're back to 5 days a week, and that just seems impossible. Just seems like wishful thinking. On that part, it does seem like the 5-day work week as a standard is over. We're almost 4 years past the beginning, which is crazy, right? Almost 4 years past the beginning of the pandemic. And we've got to accept there's a new normal. 2023 is such an interesting year.
It says Yale lecturer on 2024 workplace trends. The 5-day work week standard is over. I think it's true. I wish it would spread to the rest of us, you know, regular workers. But I think it's true for a certain segment of our society. It says Yale University Joanne Lippman on why she believes the 5-day work week is as a standard is over. Comments, it says, not sure why companies are enforcing something that leads to lower morale, decreased productivity, and increased overhead. Honestly, companies just need to adapt to the new norm and develop a healthier and happier workforce. Yep, and the productivity has been up, and you know, and what's really happening is they spend all this money for these office spaces that are empty, and so that's why they need to justify paying those rents. That's why they want you to go to the office. A couple more comments. It says, there's no way on earth I would do 5 days a week in the office. It's unnecessary, and I'm genuinely more focused and productive working from home. Another one that says, we're supposed to go into the office so we can be on Zoom calls anyways. Another one, Why work 9 to 5 jobs at all? Why argue for one extra day when you can trade and be self-employed? Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. Another one that says, unless you do actual work for a living, and this is in no way, shape, or form applicable. I kind of get what he's saying there, but people do real work on their computers, so. You know, just like they belittle your work, you're belittling their work. Yeah, it's too much racial shit in there, so maybe I don't want to do this. Did I cover this one?
Crisis hitting the suburbs outside major cities in this country after New York City's mayor said you must give the city 32 hours notice. Buses carrying hundreds of asylum seekers from the South now dropping off migrants outside New York and other major cities. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, the influx of migrants to major cities far from the border is spreading to their suburbs. After New York's mayor, Eric Adams, issued an order requiring buses carrying migrants from border cities to New York to give the city a minimum of 32 hours notice. Hundreds of migrants were instead bused to commuter train stations in New Jersey, where they rode trains into New York, effectively circumventing the order. A similar situation in the suburbs of Chicago. Some 350 migrants flown to Rockford Airport over the weekend, then bussed in. Tonight, Mayor Adams is blaming Texas Governor Greg Abbott and asking more cities to issue executive orders.
It's not about just New York. No city should be going through this, and it's not sustainable.
Sources tell ABC News there were 302,000 migrant encounters in December alone, the preliminary numbers far surpassing the previous record of nearly 270,000 in September. Abbott and other border governors have said until the situation is brought under control and properly addressed, they will continue to send migrants to these so-called sanctuary cities.
Lawmakers on both sides agree they need federal help and a solution from Congress to deal with this situation. Today, senators met with the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Negotiators are expected to keep meeting this week to try and reach a deal on the border, David.
Stephanie Ramos on this for us. Steph, thank you.
Yeah, it's election year, so that's the reason why this is becoming bigger and bigger. But yeah, so first off, I have to say that how are you fixing the problem? Like, I get the argument that people are saying like the border states are the ones that deal with the immigration issues more than those other states. I get it. And they're like, I want y'all to feel a little bit of what we're feeling. Okay, that's fair. But how is that helping the situation at all? Like, what is that leading to a solution? Like, are you trying to make a solution for the situation, you know, by moving them from here to there? It's like you're complaining that these people are coming over, you know, and the United States is getting overwhelmed with migrants, but you move them from Texas to New York. Well, they're still in the United States. They're still here, you know. How is that a solution? That doesn't really make sense to me. And the other part is like, so Mayor Adams is suing the bus companies because he can't go directly at Texas, so he's attacking the bus companies. And the other thing is, so Mayor Adams is like, man, we're not really accepting no more. So it's like, now they're starting to send them to New Jersey, so outside of New York. Like, what a whole fucking mess, you know. And using these are real people, and using them as like political pawns. It says Louisiana and Texas have sent buses carrying hundreds of asylum seekers to New Jersey to avoid new restrictions in New York City. The news comes in, sources tell ABC News that 302,000 migrant encounters at the southern border in December. Yeah. It says, for the love of God, close the border already. Another one says, it's not sustainable, but they refuse to close the borders, and ship the illegals back to Mexico. Yeah, well, they're not shipping them back. They're shipping them to other states within the United States. And it's like they're championing Abbott for doing this. At the same time, they're not happy for the migrants being here. They want the border closed or whatever, but he's shipping them to other states within the United States. How is that a solution? I'm about to get out of here. Let me see if it's a couple I want to do before I go. It says, for the first time ever, all major federal construction projects will now require collective bargaining agreements with workers, per a new rule announced by President Biden. About 200,000 workers will gain collectively bargained wages and protections as a result. This is a good thing right here. That's a good thing. One comment says, this is amazing, but hopefully it's not like the state of California. Most of my homies who are union and work for the state haven't got good deals. Another comment says, did this actually happen, or is this one of the many promises that aren't going to be kept? That's actually a good question. Rise in respiratory illnesses. Did I play this?
Respiratory illness is on the rise across much of the country. 31 states and Washington, D.C. are seeing high or very high levels of infection from flu, COVID, RSV, and the common cold. Health officials are again urging people to get vaccinated. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
Tonight, some of the nation's top hospitals bringing masks back as respiratory infections spread across the country.
Admissions are up and folks are getting sick and getting admitted to the hospital for things like COVID, influenza, and even RSV sometimes.
In Wisconsin, a nearly 15% jump in positive COVID tests. The University of Wisconsin now requiring healthcare staff, patients, and visitors to wear face coverings during all patient interactions.
We are seeing an increase in number of patients admitted with respiratory illnesses compared with the number of patients admitted around Thanksgiving time. We're up about 40%.
31 states plus Washington, D.C. seeing high or very high levels of respiratory illnesses, including COVID, RSV, the flu, and the common cold. Flu hospitalizations were up nearly 50% in the last week. The CDC estimating 4,500 flu-related deaths this season alone, with the number of infections growing or likely growing in every state. And COVID hospitalizations are at their highest in a year.
We are holding some patients in the emergency room, waiting a bit. And I would say every hospital in the region is doing that because of just the amount of sick people that we're seeing coming through the doors now.
All of this as millions coast to coast gather tonight for New Year's celebrations.
I would just urge everybody to be mindful and to spread good cheer this year, not viruses.
And keep in mind, winter just started, so we'll likely be seeing even more infections in the coming weeks. Lindsay?
Spread cheer and not germ. Millions are gathering.
I have to be careful talking about this. Yeah, so, damn it, I was thinking about something and I lost it. Rise in respiratory illnesses. Oh, I saw it. I've noticed that outside of these like urgent care centers and stuff, they have the signs on the door that they want you to wear a mask when you come in, just like when we was having the pandemic. So all of the doctor's offices, a lot of them, they want you to wear masks when you come in. I noticed that just the other day. I went and bought a sandwich, and I was looking at this urgent care center, and on the door it had, you need to wear a mask before you come in the door. And that's kind of weird a little bit to me. And, you know, and also on the side note, the thing about the urgent care centers, it makes me think about how they're pushing for the vouchers, for the school vouchers. It's like that with the urgent care centers for our healthcare system. You know, there's these urgent care centers have popped up all over the place. I remember I don't barely see those things. Like, I mean, they serve their purpose. I've used them before. They wildly overpriced, like expensive, but you know, you have access and they're convenient. That you don't have to travel far and you don't have to deal with like the emergency room, and you can get care quicker or whatever. But you're finna pay. So, but that's the answer for our system. You know, urgent care centers where you pay a lot. You know, so people who have the money, I guess, is great, but for the rest of us, we're screwed. It says an alarming rise in respiratory illnesses. Hospitals in several states are bringing masks back. Reports on which regions are being hit hardest. Yeah, I'm too scared to talk about that. They're still going in on people. I don't want to lose my channel. I'm about to get monetized. I'm like on the edge of being monetized here. I don't want to freaking I don't want to jeopardize that. It says a man reveals the actual cost of an iPhone. Shocking.
Anybody know how much it costs to this beautiful product in China? Anybody want to take a guess? It's the iPhone 14, which cost about 18 to 20 million. Yeah. $100? I got a 99 guess. I got a 100 guess. I got a 300 guess. You ready for the answer? $10. I swear to God, I've you know, sharing with these guys, they couldn't believe me. I've visited the factories 3 times. I've met up with the chairman of Foxconn who makes these things. I want to quiz the audience. Does anybody know how much it costs to this?
Yeah, so and you guys are perfectly okay with spending $2,000 on a product that cost them $10 to make. We just love being screwed. Like we stand in line to be screwed. We argue and fight with each other to be screwed. This one, it says, I'm old enough to remember when paper bags were being blamed for the destruction of trees and plastic bags were the solution. It says, the same will be the electric vehicle madness. I hope people will realize soon they are not the future of mobility. It says, it's like when butter was bad for you and margarine was healthy. Now margarine is considered unhealthy. They changed the narrative to suit their beliefs at the time. It says the comments on here show such contempt for the environment. It is so sad to read them. So many climate deniers, such anger for renewables. Why I don't understand is why people don't want to live in a healthier world. Why can't so many see the damage we're doing to the planet and to ourselves? We have all the solutions to fix this right now. We need multiple solutions and a shift in how we live. It's not very difficult either. Very sad to read, you know. And the reason why people are the way that they are is because they're freaking programmed. The corporations are the ones that's gonna hurt, you know, and they have to do things different, and they don't want to do things different. You know, we buy stuff, and it's, you know, the production is like a bag inside of a box inside of a box inside of a bag. Like it's ridiculous the amount of trash that's produced just because of the way that we manufacture our goods. You know, a lot of really silly stuff, and then they tell us to use the reusable freaking grocery bags, and that's gonna save the world. We're gonna use metal straws or paper straws, and that's gonna save the world. You know, and that's all bullshit. It's these companies, the way that they do shit, you know, but they're running the show. They want to do things the cheapest way. It's really cheap to make the plastic bags. Really, really cheap for them. So they make a lot of money. So force them to produce products that are, biodegradable and stuff like that. Reuse products. But see, again, it doesn't make them make money. Back in the days, you could, and it was way before we were talking about any kind of, like actual recycling type of stuff. They had those glass bottles and they refilled them, the soda bottles. I don't know if anybody remembers that shit. They had the vending machines with them shits in them. And you bring them back, they give you a nickel or quarter or whatever, and they refill those shits. And that's what it is. Like, we could have stuff that way, but now it's cheaper for them to make shit one use, throw away. And then they want you to keep buying stuff. That's the other thing, planned obsolescence. They used to make pots that last your whole damn life. Now you have to buy multiple sets of pots because they go to shit within a short amount of time. Everything we buy, we have to buy again. What if we just had to buy these things once, like laptop once, phone once, kitchen appliances once, furniture once, and we're good, But no, these corporations need to make more money. They need you to keep buying the shit. They want to make you have to buy it over and over and over again because it was trash when you bought it. It's just going, it's future dump. It's going in a dump. It's made to go to the dump. Temporary use, one use. Freaking I think I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I might do a bonus show. Man, I had good news. I don't know if I shared it with y'all, but they freaking covered my past due amount. They gave me a grant, and freaking I've already registered for my last 4 classes. I'm planning to graduate in the spring before the summer. And I'm loving that. I'm really feeling great and happy about that. And so I don't know when I'm going to be off next week. So I'll probably give y'all an extra show next week. And the freaking algorithm has been mashing on me. So if you guys want to like and share or watch some of my reels or something, the algorithm is mashing on me this last 3 weeks. I've been getting less views than I've gotten in like ever. And it's because they gave me a warning. They were trying to give me a strike on my page for a really old video that I had made. And I, what do you call it when you fight against it or whatever? And then they had to put the video back up because they were wrong. But I think that I still suffering from the algorithm pushing you down. When they give you those strikes, they push you down in the algorithm. So they put the damn video back up, but they still left me in the timeout for the algorithm, and they're not recommending my videos and shit like that. I'm getting shadow banned and whatever. And I also think that it's because I'm right on the edge of getting monetized with this boring political stuff that I do here. Yeah, but I've been grinding and putting in the work for this shit. And so I'm thinking I'll be monetized very soon. And I think that they're trying to keep from having to do that. But whatever. Anyways, it's good news. Like I say, I'm registered for those last 4 classes. All I have to do is pass them halls and I'm out of there. Anyways. Peace and love. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for joining. We'll be back.